Real?
Yep. Sport.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy Sports Ticket. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, X, however you're tuning in, it is greatly, greatly appreciated. The Indianapolis Colts had OTAs yesterday, and thankfully, we had some various players talk to the media. Head coach Shane Steichen spoke to the media as well. A lot of questions surrounding the current quarterback room for the Colts. Obviously, people are wanting to know, how is Daniel Jones progressing? Riley Leonard and Anthony Richardson split reps yesterday, and now they're in a battle for who's going to be the backup quarterback. How does that work with Anthony Richardson having already requested a trade? There's a lot of stuff to get into, but we're going to start with Daniel Jones talking about, being back on the football field and how his rehab process is going.
How are you feeling? How's the recovery process?
Good, feeling good. It's been a good process so far, like 6 months into it. So feeling good. Been here working hard with our trainers and strength staff here, and going well.
What's it like to be back out on the field?
It's good. Good to be back and just be around, and be with the guys, be out on the field. Obviously not doing everything yet, but just being out here has been fun.
Your expectation to be the starter for week 1, be on the field?
Absolutely.
Daniel Jones right there answering a bunch of questions about, how he's feeling coming out of, the rehab stuff and, all that great stuff. And look, I'm glad that Daniel Jones is back. I'm glad that he's processing well, and I'm glad that he's expected to be the Colts starter week 1. Okay, now he has to be for his own sake. A little more on that in a moment, but everyone's giving him all this credit for rehabbing so well, and it just bothers me. It's insane. Like, we're just, telling him good job for doing something that he's supposed to do. Even his head coach, Shane Steichen, is. Listen to this right here.
I'm actually not surprised, just because of the way he works. When you rehab like he rehabs and put in the work like he does, it's pretty impressive. I mean, people talk about injuries and, what's the fastest way to recover, and it's by doing the rehab process. And, he's relentless at that, and he's doing a hell of a job with it.
Doing a hell of a job with it. He's just relentless doing his rehab. Just so great. Again, I am glad that Daniel Jones is doing his job and is attacking his rehab. I'm glad he was out on the field yesterday doing individual drills. I enjoyed the comedic responses of how great he apparently looked and all that kind of stuff. But every time I hear people talk about this, I just think like, oh, how the standards have fallen in Indianapolis. We used to expect MVPs from our starting quarterback. We used to expect, Lombardi trophies. But now, if a quarterback looks at a dumbbell and says, I want to play week 1, we put him on a pedestal. It's like throwing a celebration because your 16-year-old managed to parallel park without hitting the curb on his 3rd try. Daniel Jones is an NFL quarterback making $44 million a year. Rehabbing hard isn't an above and beyond effort. It's passing the basic test to keep your license. This is absolutely what he should be doing. And I get it. Like there's not a ton of stuff to talk about right now. But let's not talk about how proud we are of Daniel Jones for just doing his job, especially when you consider where he's at in his NFL career. He's still fighting to survive in the NFL. He wants to come back, play well, and cash in on a big extension. That's not primarily built on bonuses. Shane Steichen is talking about how phenomenal the rehab process has been and all these things. Like it should be. Like look at his contract. It's a 2-year deal. In NFL terms, that's not a marriage. That's a short-term lease. Daniel Jones is driving a rental car right now, and he's just trying to make sure he doesn't get hit with a dent fee before he has to return the keys or try to buy it. Okay, he's fighting for his NFL survival right now. Like the gap between average starting quarterback salary in the NFL and really good backup quarterback in the NFL, the margin's quite large. Looking like a $30 million difference at a minimum between the two. Okay, so of course he's trying to get back and play. Okay? Like he's, doing everything he can to get back on the field so that he can earn those bonuses and hopefully trick Chris Ballard and the Colts into giving him a big contract extension. Okay? Some of his bonuses, by the way, are built around how many snaps he plays. If he doesn't rehab hard to get back in time for week 1, he is literally leaving money on the table. He obviously doesn't want to do that because his NFL future is not guaranteed, given all the struggles and the injuries that he's had. Also, the fact that he's on a 2-year contract. Okay, praising him for rehabbing hard to hit his incentives is like throwing a party for a real estate agent who's actively trying to close on a house so they can get paid. Okay, I'm not in the business of patting people on the back for doing things they should already be doing. Now, he didn't say anything else during his media time because I try not to judge other media people. I'm not really a media person, though. Can we ask him some better questions? Like, he so clearly didn't want to talk about his Achilles and the rehab and all that stuff. Someone asked him, what have you learned about yourself during this process? Nothing. That's the answer. Nothing. He's not doing anything incredible. Okay? Right? So he's where he's supposed to be right now in that process. And hopefully we don't hear about any setbacks because the backup quarterback situation in Indianapolis right now, not great. Setbacks for Daniel Jones would be bad considering that we don't know who the backup quarterback is. Shane Steichen explained yesterday that Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard are battling it out for the backup quarterback spot on the roster. Here's Colts head coach Shane Steichen.
Yeah, those guys will compete. Him and Riley will compete, and we'll flip the reps every other day. I mean, they get the same reps with the 1s and the 2s, every day through OTAs.
We say compete for the backup job.
Yeah, compete for the backup. Yep.
Does it go in even? Is it 50-50 going in, or does somebody have a lead?
Yeah, no, it's 50-50. I mean, they're competing just like everyone's competing. We got certain guys competing at certain spots, and that's one of the positions they're competing at.
Shane Steichen right there talking about the competition for the backup quarterback spot for the Indianapolis Colts. Now, I know he's saying it's a competition, and the two quarterbacks did split reps during practice. Anthony Richardson, 2 of 3 passing in his 8 plays for the starting offense. Everyone's saying Anthony Richardson apparently looked good in the 7-on-7 drills. He apparently had a nice deep ball to Nick Westbrook-Akine. Riley Leonard was 4 of 4 for his passing. Apparently he had a really nice ball to Drew Ogletree down the middle of the field. Okay, Leonard also threw the ball well on the move, right? So both guys apparently were just wonderful. Not hard to be wonderful, though, when you're in shorts and a T-shirt. Even though Shane Steichen claims that this is a quarterback competition, I'm going to be stunned if Anthony Richardson is the backup this year. It's going to be Riley Leonard. And you could just tell yesterday, nice. You could just tell yesterday by the way that Shane Steichen talked about the two guys. When Shane Steichen is asked questions about Anthony Richardson, you can tell he's fed up. He's not interested in answering the question. He doesn't want to talk about him anymore. You can just tell that he's done with Anthony Richardson. He is ready for Anthony Richardson to be traded so he can put all this AR stuff behind him. Doesn't have to worry about it anymore. Okay? Shane Steichen's the guy making the call on the quarterback position. I'm going to go out on a limb and say that the quarterback that Shane Steichen clearly doesn't like probably isn't going to win the position battle, especially when he clearly likes the other guy. The way he talks about Riley Leonard, it makes me laugh. Listen to this exchange. Someone asked Shane Steichen what he liked about Riley Leonard, and then he was immediately asked what he liked about Anthony Richardson. Listen to the difference in these responses.
He's been really good. He's got great command in the huddle. He's continuing to learn the offense, growing in that nature, going through his reads, going through his progressions, working on, his accelerated vision, going through that stuff. But it's been good to see.
Shane, same question. What do you like about AR?
Yeah, he's been good. Obviously, getting him back in the fold here, coming back, a couple weeks ago, going through it, still growing, all those different things, continuing to learn and grow just like all our other players. But it's good to see him out here with the guys for sure.
Did you hear the difference? It makes me laugh. When he was talking about Riley Leonard to open that clip, he gave specifics. His command of the huddle is good. He's working on his reads. He's working on his accelerated vision. With Anthony Richardson, there were no specifics. He's still learning and growing like all of our other players. Throw in something about fundamentals as well. That's all he said. No specifics, no nothing. He's so clearly done with Anthony Richardson, and I don't blame him. He's been nothing but a disappointment and really a problem ever since he showed up, not taking care of his off-the-field business, tapping out during football games. I'd be done with him too. I don't blame Shane Steichen at all. And again, he clearly likes Riley Leonard. Here is Shane Steichen talking about Riley Leonard's desire to know why Coach Steichen is calling the plays that he's calling.
Yeah, for sure. I think those take place in the meeting rooms on how we're trying to attack certain coverages from a pass game standpoint, from a run game standpoint. Things we're looking for, trying to take advantage of, and that's where the accelerated vision will come into play. The more you know the offense and why we're doing certain things, and you see certain looks, certain things on tape that the defenses are doing, obviously you can speed up your process when it comes to that.
Have you noticed one more here? Kind of digging into that more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a guy that's studying like crazy in that classroom and taking it to the field. And just the conversation that we have, some things popped up in practice today where, he made some good plays, some conversations that took place. Obviously came to life here on the practice field.
Shane Steichen right there talking about his guy, Riley Leonard. I've been listening to Shane Steichen press conferences for 3 seasons now. We're going into year 4 of the Shane Steichen era here in Indianapolis. His answers are about as boring as his time here in Indianapolis has been. He doesn't answer any questions. He gives you an absurd amount of coach speak. He never goes into details about anybody. Even with Daniel Jones last year, he didn't give any specifics on why he liked Daniel Jones or anything like that. Coach Steichen keeps everything incredibly close to the vest when it comes to his media sessions. I like it that way. I'd like to think that if I was a head coach of an NFL team, I would operate in a very similar fashion. His 2 best answers yesterday during his 5-minute press conference came when he was talking about Riley Leonard. He talked about Riley Leonard for 40 seconds in that last clip. 40 seconds. It's a long time. He never does that. Okay, the majority of his responses are 10 to 20 seconds. 40 seconds is a long time for Shane Steichen to talk about anything. He clearly likes Riley Leonard more than Anthony Richardson. Riley Leonard is going to be the backup. And that's before we even factor in that Anthony Richardson may not be here at some point here soon. Why in the world would you make the backup quarterback a question mark as to whether or not he's going to be here through the end of the season. I'll be honest, I'm surprised Anthony Richardson is even being given reps during OTAs. I'm surprised he's even being given the opportunity to compete for the backup job when you consider that he's trying to get up out of here. He doesn't want to be here anymore. Okay, and he will be gone here at some point. The Colts will cut him. They'll trade him for a 7th-round pick or a box of stretchy bands or something like that. Okay, so again, I'm surprised that Anthony Richardson is even getting real reps. But at the same time, I don't know. I guess that you need an opportunity to film some cool slow-motion video in order to post it on your socials so that teams like the Arizona Cardinals can see it. I guess. I don't know. Speaking of Anthony Richardson, imagine breaking up with your girlfriend, but you still have 6 months left on your apartment lease. That is the exact situation the Colts are in right now after Anthony Richardson's awkward media appearance where he talked about requesting a trade. Okay, I'll talk about why the Colts need to cut ties with Anthony Richardson ASAP before he ruins things in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Welcome back to the real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Anthony Richardson requested a trade in the offseason, and he still decided to show up to OTAs, which surprised me a little bit. He spoke to the media yesterday, and here's what he had to say about his trade request.
Said, is it awkward?
Yeah, or not?
No, I don't think so. I signed a contract. I was still on this team regardless before the trade and stuff. So I got an obligation to this team to come out here and play and, and perform, be ready to play if they need me. So I don't think it's weird or awkward.
Would you still like a trade?
I mean, I'm not really focused on that right now. I'm here right now. I'm just trying to make sure I'm staying healthy and keeping everything up there in the mind sharp.
What went into the decision to come rejoin the team after asking for trade, staying away for a while, and coming back?
Honestly, man, I just wanted to work. I was just tired of waiting a little bit, and I just wanted to, just get back right into the routine and stuff. So nothing really transpired with that. So my agent talked about it and was like, "We're trying to get back to work." So
Anthony Richardson right there talking about the trade request and his, still showing up to OTAs and all those things. So Anthony Richardson didn't really give us much here, but I'm going to give Anthony Richardson a very small amount of credit. There are plenty of athletes that if they requested a trade and they didn't get it, they would not be showing up to voluntary workouts. That's what OTAs are. They are voluntary. It's why guys like Shavarius Ward and DeForest Buckner and Jonathan Taylor weren't there. Yet, Anthony Richardson, a guy who doesn't want to be in Indianapolis anymore, willingly showed up. Now, I'm not saying that, this is like a huge deal. Jonathan, you said earlier we shouldn't give Daniel Jones credit for doing something that he's supposed to do. Well, Daniel Jones is supposed to work hard. Anthony Richardson is not obligated to show up to OTAs. He's not. Anthony Richardson's maturity has been an issue ever since he got drafted. He's 4 years older now, and I think this is a step in the right direction for him in terms of maturity and the signs of that. It's just too little, too late. Shane Steichen's already done with him. The trade request is already in, and that's all that there is to it. Now, I will say, I don't believe him when he said that it's not awkward being there. I find that hard to believe. We talk about how weird it has to be in these college football or college athletics locker rooms in general when players enter the portal, then return to their team. This is the same thing. It's like entering the portal in the spring, looking for a better NIL deal, realizing that the market for you isn't there, and then having to walk back into the same locker room for your senior year. Your teammates know that you shopped around. Your coach knows that you looked for an upgrade. You can show up to summer workouts all you want, but you already told everyone in that room that you don't want to be there. So I find it hard to believe that things aren't awkward at all around Anthony Richardson when he's sitting in the quarterback room with Shane Steichen and Jim Bob Cooter and Daniel Jones and Riley Leonard. Okay, it's weird when you have to go back and see everybody. I mean, think about being at a regular corporate job. You put in your 2-week notice because you hate management and want out, but then your new job offer falls through. And all of a sudden you have to go back into the break room, sit by the water cooler, and pretend like everything is fine. Even though everyone knows you wanted to leave, they know, and you're just sitting there eating your lunch in total silence, waiting for the clock to run out. Yes, it's a business, and people understand that, but it's still awkward at the start. Okay, and I don't know if it ever gets better either. Like, it's going to be awkward until he's traded or cut. It's like, breaking up with someone, but your lease doesn't end for another 6 months. You've had the big fight. You've said, I don't really want to be with you anymore. But neither of you can afford to break the contract, so now you're sharing the same apartment awkwardly bumping into each other in the kitchen, pretending it's strictly business. That is the Colts quarterback room right now. It's like, hey, Riley, I know that I asked out of here, but you and I are going to compete for the starting backup quarterback job. No confusion there whatsoever, I'm sure. Okay, that's the Colts quarterback room right now, and it will not improve until Anthony Richardson is gone. And look, he needs to be gone. Shane Steichen clearly doesn't want him. He doesn't want to be here anymore. I know that you want something for him, but sometimes having a guy in your locker room that doesn't want to be there can hurt the team. So if they can't trade him before the regular season starts, just go ahead and cut him. You're not going to resign him. He doesn't want to be here. Okay, he's going to be the third string quarterback on your roster. Just go ahead and move on. Okay, you clearly don't need him anymore, and he doesn't need to be here. No way around it. Chris, what would you do with Anthony Richardson?
Before, I probably would have said, the same thing. Like, get rid of him, same thing. You're not going to re-sign him. However, whenever injuries happen, he already knows the playbook. You might as well just hang on to him. You know what I mean? He's kind of like back when places accepted pennies and you would pick a penny up off the ground and put it in your pocket, and then you're, a penny short later and you got that penny. It's the same situation to me. He already knows the playbook. He's already athletic, despite tapping his helmet, despite him not wanting to be here. Those are the facts.
Well, what about Riley Leonard, though? Because isn't he your fallback guy in case something happens to Jones?
You're right. But what happens when Riley Leonard goes down? Are we just going to go fish out a Phillip Rivers?
Hey, man.
Or,
Phillip Rivers almost
Flacco?
beat the Super Bowl champions last year.
This is true.
Not Joe Flacco. Anybody but Joe Flacco.
We're trying to avoid that, though. I would rather have some cushion of somebody that already knows the playbook, who's already athletic, already in the QB room. Let's just hang on to him because you don't know what's going to happen.
Totally fair. I get it. That makes sense. Yeah, I don't know, man. I'm just tired of talking about him. Like, it's nothing against him. It's just the same thing. What's amazing, there are still Anthony Richardson truthers out there. It's incredible. There's so many people who are like, Anthony Richardson should be the starting quarterback.
Right. I'm not going to go that far, but
yeah.
You know what I mean?
And I also, I love watching the Colts discourse. I find it just so funny. Like, we got all these slow motion videos and we got people talking about how Daniel Jones's arm is like really popping and all these things. It's like, I mean, I don't know. I don't feel like his arm got stronger after he tore his Achilles, It's like, I'm going to sit here and look, I'm going to pay attention to everything. But ultimately, like, I don't know. The stuff is just like, there's this video that the Colts posted of Daniel Jones throwing the football, and the captions on it or the responses to it are insane. There's a lot of like, y'all quit on AR FUs, which is kind of wild. But jeez, man, I don't know. I think a lot of this just kind of comes from not having any hope for the season. Like, whether it's Daniel Jones or Anthony Richardson or Riley Leonard or you or whoever playing quarterback, it's like I'm not moved by any of it. I feel numb.
I thought you said there was another guy too, like in the QB room, where he's just like on the practice squad.
Probably, yeah, he's in the videos. I don't know his name. I can find it really quickly though. Seth Hennigan, that's his name. Seth Hennigan played at Memphis. He's a rookie. I don't think he was drafted. I'm pretty sure he was an undrafted free agent, if I remember correctly. Would we like to be the first members of the Seth Hennigan army that will be forming soon? Seriously, this happens every year. There's a group, and this isn't just like a Colts thing. This is everywhere. Teams with bad quarterbacks, there's always a section of them that are like, we should play the third string guy, like to roll with the Colts here. The Sam Ehlinger army was a thing. Everyone's like, we got to play Sam Ehlinger. The Chad Kelly army was a thing. We got to play Chad Kelly. That he can really ball. The Seth Hennigan army is coming. It's actively marching towards the city of Indianapolis as we speak. Would we like to be the first people in Indianapolis on the Seth Hennigan train?
I'm for it. Let's do it.
Seth Hennigan. Let's order jerseys. We want Seth Hennigan to be the starting quarterback.
Even if just by consequence, because of what we do have. Sure. Let's see what he can do.
Seriously, like I remember the Sam Ehlinger stuff being so funny because he threw all these passes that were like 3 yards down the field, and he completed like 70% of his passes in a game. And everyone's like, see, we need more Sam Ehlinger snaps.
It reminds me of Jim Sorgi back in the day.
Yeah.
Everybody was like all about Jim Sorgi. It was like, oh, we'll give Jim a chance until Peyton started really, picking up his game. But
yeah, it's like one of the things with third string quarterbacks is like, what's the saying? Absence makes the heart grow fonder.
Right.
Like if you never see the guy suck, then do you know that he sucks? Probably should not have worded it like that, but that's okay. Oh, we got a caller. That's cool. Seriously though, yeah, the Seth Hennigan Army has formed here on the real Jonathan Smith show. I don't remember where he was drafted at, or if he even was really, but C. Fitch, what's going on?
First off, leave Chad Kelly out of this because he won me a bunch of money in preseason.
Good. Okay, fair enough. That's the most important thing. What's going on?
Hey, I got the bet of the absolute decade over-under for you.
Okay. What is it?
The New York Giants over-under wins. It was at 7.5. I took it down to 6.5 because their locker room is so soft that they're all pissing, whining, and moaning that the under's absolutely going to hit.
Giants under 6.5.
6.5 at plus 154.
Chris, you're the Giants fan. What do you think?
Y'all better quit picking on the Giants, man.
Okay.
I give him I'll probably give him 7.5. No more than that. Because it's the first year for Harbaugh. I'll give him that. See, Fitch, I'll let this one slide, but next season it will be better, I promise.
So you
they
think
have too many hurt feelings in their locker room to succeed right now.
So you think because some guys are upset that Jackson Dart introduced the president that's going to like derail their whole season?
Jonathan, look at the political landscape right now. People hate people from the other side.
They do.
And I feel like that some things cannot be overcome currently in the political landscape, and I feel like that's one of them right now.
Okay. I understand that point of view. And there's a lot of truth to what you're saying. Abdul Carter did come out, though, and say that he and Jackson Dart were cool. Like, if this had happened, like a week before the season, then I think I'd be a little more in. But since we're going to have, 4 months, or I guess 3 months until the season starts, I think that they'll squash it here at some point, and it'll be fine. Like, every locker room in the NFL is like this, where you have people who support different political candidates and things like that. And, there's always a couple teams every year that are better than what they're supposed to be.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, we've always been told that people come from all different backgrounds, everything in the locker room and all that's left at the door to win. Well, that has absolutely not been left at the door. Therefore, I do not feel like they're going to win, and I'm going to make some money at under 6.5.
So, what's their schedule? I haven't looked at it yet.
You gotta do what you gotta do.
I'd say they play the Cowboys, the Eagles, and the Commanders a couple times. That's all I know.
They do. And all right, let's look at this schedule. All right. They'll split with Dallas because I don't think Dallas is going to be very good this year. They'll lose
Agreed.
at the Rams. They play the Titans at home. They'll probably win that one. They play the Cardinals at home. They'll probably win that one. So we're already at 3. We're already at 3 wins if they split with Dallas.
Can I ask you a quick question?
Yeah, for sure.
Is Cam Scatterbo and Jackson Dart a figment in everybody's imagination about how good they actually are, though?
That's an interesting question. I think Cam Scatterbo is legitimately good because we saw that last year. If you want to question whether or not he's going to stay healthy, given his style of running. I think that's a fair critique. The Jackson Dart thing is interesting. Because I was reading an article this morning, and they were talking about how Jackson Dart had 0 like traditional NFL dropbacks last year, whatever that means. And basically, Brian Dable went out of his way to protect Dart in terms of reading the field and those kinds of things. So if you want to look at that and say, is he very good? I think that's a fair question. But at the same time, like, from what we saw last year, like his touchdown to interception ratio in 14 games was 3-1, completed 64% of his passes. Like his passer rating was 91. Like I think there's more than enough there to think that even if you don't think he's going to be great, I think he's at a minimum going to be like a pretty average NFL quarterback, especially with his ability to move. So I like him. I think he's only going to be better, honestly, playing under Harbaugh this year as opposed to Dable.
Does not having Malik Neighbors, potentially for the first month, does that affect anything in your mind?
He didn't have him very much last year either. I want to say Malik Neighbors got hurt before Jackson Dart took over, right? Is that right, Chris?
Pretty close. They only played like a little bit together, and then Neighbors missed like the rest of the season.
Yeah,
where
with
Jackson played the rest of the season.
Yeah, with the knee issue. So I like Dart. I think he's going to be good. I don't know if I can get on board with under 6.5. You could maybe get me on board with under 7.5 though, because their schedule's
that's the
pretty
actual
easy.
line. It was -110 either way at 7.5.
I would advise you to look at their schedule before you put that in, man. It's not very tough.
All right. Well, that's why you're the radio host and I'm the beer or the wine slinger. So
wine slinger now. What happened to the beer?
Yes, sir. Just change the scenery in life. So
it's because there's a baby on the way. That's why.
There is a baby. Yeah.
Oh, have we decided on a name yet?
I think Harrison is the clubhouse leader right now.
Harrison's the clubhouse leader. Okay. When's the baby due?
August 7th.
Oh, it's coming up.
Coming up, man. That's exciting.
Yeah.
That's exciting. All right,
yeah,
C-Fitch.
Appreciate it.
You got it, man. Thanks
Have
for
a
the
great
call.
day, guys.
You too, C-Fitch. See ya. Shout out to the Misfits, mainly C-Fitch, for calling in. 317-228-1430. That is the number if you want to call in to be part of the show. You can text that number as well. We've got basketball tonight. Big-time basketball. Thunder, Spurs, Game 6. The Spurs have their backs against the wall for the first time all season. And a 7'4" angry alien is looking for revenge after a pitiful Game 5. Meanwhile, two-time MVP, back-to-back MVP, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is statistically due for a scoring explosion to put this series away. Why Game 6 of Thunder versus Spurs is going to be pure cinema in 3 minutes.
it may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Tonight, we get to see the San Antonio Spurs play basketball with their backs against the wall for the first time in their lives. Like, the majority of these players for the Spurs have never been on the brink of elimination before in the NBA playoffs, and they're playing against an Oklahoma City Thunder team that does a great job of putting teams away. This is the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM if you're in your car. Now, the Thunder putting away the Spurs is not the same thing as them eliminating the Suns and the Lakers on the road in Game 4 in their first two series. Do not be surprised if the Thunder go into San Antonio tonight and chop their heads off in front of their home fans. If that happens, I'll be interested to see if Victor Wembanyama talks to the media tonight. Soft guy. You do, I mean, go ahead. Play it.
WFT.
I love that sounder because it makes Chris laugh every time.
The cat, dude. The cat does it for
the
me.
cat's great. So you can't sit at the podium and tell everybody that you want to be the MVP and you want to win all these championships, and the fact that SGA won MVP over you makes you mad. You can't say all those things and then not talk to the media when you suck and lose the game because you sucked. So I'll be very, very interested to see if Wemby does media tonight. The Thunder are going to need one more performance like they got in Game 5 from their bench. I told you a couple of days ago, if the Thunder are going to win this series, SGA has to look like the MVP, which even though he hasn't played great, more on that in a minute, even though he hasn't played great, he's played to an MVP level, and they were going to either need big games from their bench or they were going to need for Chet Holmgren to be much better. And so far, that's happened. SGA tonight has to get 30, and everyone around him has to do a little bit more than just their jobs. Alex Caruso has to keep shooting the cover off the basketball. Jalen Williams has to make shots and defend off the bench like he's been doing so far in this series. Isaiah Hartenstein has to keep Wemby out of the lane and off the glass. Fun fact, in Game 5, when Isaiah Hartenstein and Victor Wembanyama shared the floor together, the Thunder outscored the Spurs by 17 points in those minutes. That needs to continue for the Spurs. Or for the Thunder. Cason Wallace has to continue to be the Thunder's best defender in this series against the Spurs guards. I'm really tempted to pick them tonight because Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is yet to play a good game in this series. He's the best basketball player on the planet. He's won back-to-back MVPs for a reason. The Spurs have done an excellent job defending him in this series. They have a lot of good options for him. Stephon Castle has been incredibly physical with him. Dylan Harper is another good perimeter defender. And there's plenty of other guys. And again, playing defense is easier when you have a 7'4" guy behind you. Okay, so yes, the Spurs have plenty of good options. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander is the MVP. Is he really going to have 6 games in a row where he falls short of the expectations that people have for him? I find that unlikely. He's due for a big scoring game where he's efficient. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander shot 55% from the floor during the regular season. Right now, he's not doing that. Right now, he's a cold gambler in the mid-range area. But players of his caliber aren't just gamblers. They're the house. And the house always wins. He is statistically due to regress to his mean, which means San Antonio might be walking into a historic heater tonight. Now, SGA's passing ability has been a large part of whether winning games, but the shot making is what made him the MVP this year. And at some point, he's going to start hitting shots again at some point during this series. He's been bad from the mid-range. That's his area. That's the part of the court that he owns. And tonight could very well be the night that he finally turns it around. We'll see if it happens or not. But I do know one thing that is going to happen. Victor Wembanyama is going to be much better in Game 6 tonight after his pitiful Game 5. He can only be better. He shot the ball poorly, 4 of 15 from the field. How are you 7-4 and you missed 11 shots? He was 0 of 5 from 3. He didn't impact as many shots on defense. He didn't rebound very well, only 6 rebounds. How are you 7'4" and you only grabbed 6 rebounds? Jeez Louise. I think he's going to come out tonight with his hair on fire. Now, a 7'4" alien coming off of a pitiful game has to be one of the scariest things in basketball. He isn't just going to play aggressively. He's going to play angrily. Now, you can take advantage of that. Guys, when they get over aggressive, can try to do too much, and that can lead to problems. I don't think that's what's going to happen with Wemby. I think he hung out with too many monks over the offseason for that to happen. So I would expect a barrage from him early. He's going to treat the rim like it insulted his family. The question for the Spurs tonight is not if Victor Wembanyama shows up. It's whether he has to carry the luggage for the entire roster on his back. To be fair, 7'4". He's got a long back. He can hold a lot of luggage on there. Wemby is the bottom block of the Spurs Jenga tower. When he's on the floor, they look structurally sound. But the moment that he sits down, the Thunder start pulling pieces out. De'Aaron Fox, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. One of these guys has to hold the tower together for the 6.5 minutes tonight that Wemby is on the bench. Or the Thunder are going to collapse the tower and the Spurs will be going home and they can start worrying about next season. The Thunder are up 3-2 in this series in large part because their bench and their role players have been significantly better than the Spurs. Jared McCain, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, and so on have been better than Devin Vassell and Julian Champagnie and Luke Cornett and so on for the Spurs. It feels a lot like watching the Nuggets with Jokic. Wemby has to be on the court for the Spurs to survive. As soon as he heads to the bench, the Thunder go on a run. It happens every time. They look up, they say, oh, big, tall, unathletic white guy, Luke Cornett is at the rim. Everybody go to the rim. Someone for the Spurs has to step up and be impactful just to keep the ship afloat in those non-Wemby minutes. If the Spurs can just break even, then they'll have an excellent chance to win the game. And they have the talent on their roster to do it. Keldon Johnson was the 6th man of the year this year. He's got to score when Wemby goes to the bench. De'Aaron Fox was the best player on the 3rd seed in the Western Conference a couple years ago. He's got to be better. Stephon Castle's in his 3rd year in the NBA. He was the 4th overall pick in his draft class. He's got to be better. Devin Vassell was taken 11th overall in the NBA draft. He was a lottery pick. He's got to be better. Someone for San Antonio has to emerge as Wemby's running mate. For the Thunder, everyone has emerged as SGA's running mate. That's why they're going to win the series. They have too many guys playing well not to. Even if Jalen Williams and A.J. Mitchell don't return, by the way, A.J. Mitchell out again tonight, and Jalen Williams is questionable. Okay, for the Spurs to win games in this series, Wemby has to perform heroics. They won game 1 because he got 43. They won game 4, because he got 33 and dominated. He's been able to do it twice, and both times it's been followed by a bad game. The Thunder make their adjustments, then Wemby struggles. The Spurs make their tweaks, and then he plays well again. I think he plays well tonight, but I'm not convinced that he can do it 2 games in a row. He hasn't proven that in this series. I think that tonight we're going to get a battle of epic proportions. I think Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and Wemby are both going to play at really high levels tonight. Wemby, with his back against the wall, is going to be incredibly aggressive, and that is the best version of Wemby. And SGA is simply due for a great game. He knows he'll have to be great to close the Spurs out on the road, and I'm sure that they're thinking about all that rest that the New York Knicks are getting, and they're going to want some of that too after a long, physical series. The Thunder know exactly what is at stake. Okay, they see the Knicks resting out east, putting their feet up. If Oklahoma City lets this slip to a Game 7, they invite chaos. They also invite themselves a larger disadvantage with the lack of rest. You don't play with your food when the food is a 7'4" basketball anomaly. If you have the axe in your hand in San Antonio tonight, you swing it to chop their head off. You do not allow Victor Wembanyama to get a winner-take-all game where one heroic night ends your season. The difference tonight will be the Thunder's bench. If they play well, they'll send the Spurs home. If they don't, then we're heading back to Oklahoma City for a Game 7 on Saturday. And I'll be honest, I wouldn't mind that at all. I would love to see a Game 7 between these two teams. And with all that being said, I am going to take the Thunder to win tonight and to advance to the NBA Finals. The other guys for the Spurs just haven't been consistent enough. And the other guys for the Thunder have been nothing short of incredible. Even in short spurts, like Kenrich Williams playing 10 minutes, he comes in and he plays great. And then he's done for the night. You only need him for 10 minutes. Jalen Williams didn't really play at all in the Thunder's finals run last year. And he's been such an important part of this series. And I think that we continue to see them play well. Jared Dubin of Last Night in Basketball.com, he's going to join me at 2 o'clock. He's a Knicks fan, so we're going to give him the opportunity to parade around a little bit. He won't do that. Love him, but he'll just be like, yeah, man, we won. Cool. And then we'll move on. And we'll obviously talk a little bit about the Western Conference Finals as well. Chris, who do you like tonight?
I feel like the Spurs are going to pull it off in a close one, make it go to 7. NBA is going to encourage them to milk everybody for their last penny. So it'll be like a financial decision, I think, the Spurs. Because we know that I think the NBA is a little scripted, but I feel like the Spurs pulled out and we'll see a Game 7.
I don't think the extender is going to be there tonight. Do you know what I mean when I say that?
No.
Scott Foster has the nickname of the extender.
Oh, right. I did hear that before.
He is not. It is, oh, man. Oh, never mind. James Williams is listed as an official for tonight's game. It's Zach Zarba, James Williams, Tyler Ford, and then the alternate whose name I cannot pronounce. So yeah, without the extender there, I don't know how rigged it's going to be.
Fair enough. If OKC wins, I don't think it's by a whole lot.
I agree.
And it's going to be a close one. I think the Spurs fans there will go home feeling good about next season either way, whether it goes to 7 or not.
Yeah, I agree. Spurs are 3.5-point favorites tonight. Can't wait for the game. Can't wait to do our Madden cover NFL draft.
Oh, boy.
I worded that incredibly wrong. But
nice
at 1 o'clock, Chris and I are drafting players that we think will be on the cover of Madden 27 because that game releases here pretty soon. So we'll do that coming up at 1 o'clock. But first, over to producer Chris with your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Here's what's trending this hour. Fever are back in action tonight against the Golden State Valkyries. Caitlin Clark fully active, and recent social media exchanges between her and Valkyries guard Tiffany Hayes have created some pretty intense hype for tonight's 10 o'clock Eastern matchup. So be on the lookout for that. Colts center Tanner Bortolini was named the team's most underappreciated player by NFL.com after logging 566 pass blocking snaps without allowing a single sack. Good on him. That's good. Following yesterday's announcement regarding Kentucky versus IU at Lucas Oil Stadium, IU is locked in a second major non-conference matchup with Syracuse. That'll happen in November at Gainbridge Fieldhouse. That's what's trending this hour. More of the Real Jonathan Smith Show after the break on Indy Sports Ticket 1430.
Let's do this. It's the Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What's going on? Hour number 2 of the Real Jonathan Smith Show getting underway. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket. If you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X, _ Jonathan Smith, to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM if you're driving around Indianapolis in your car. Coming up in an hour, Jared Dubin, last night in basketball.com, avid Knicks fan, lives in New York. He's going to join the show coming up at 2. But right now, we're doing a draft. So I don't know when the game comes out. But Madden is coming out soon.
August 14th.
Comes out August 14th. They have not yet announced who the Madden cover athlete's going to be. And so usually when we do drafts, it's like things that we like. This is more of a prediction-based draft. We're each going to take 5 guys. Does that work for you?
Yep.
5 guys who we think could be the Madden cover athlete. Okay?
Not to mention every cover athlete that has been on Madden has some kind of injury curse the following season or something related. You ever notice that?
Or they just aren't good. Yeah.
Yeah, they're
one way or the other. So the Madden curse is a thing. I don't believe in many conspiracies. This is one of them. All right.
Absolutely. You can have the first pick because
I get the first pick this time, which is big time.
Oh, it's in. The pick is in.
For my first pick in our Madden 27 cover athlete draft, I'm going to take reigning MVP Matthew Stafford.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
They've had a running back on the cover 2 years in a row. Matthew Stafford just won his the first MVP of his career. He plays for the Rams, notable franchise. So I'm going to take Stafford.
He was on my list, but not number 1.
Who's
interesting. With my first pick, I believe he was the Super Bowl MVP, Jackson Smith and Jigba.
The Super Bowl MVP was Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, it was way off.
But Jay, I had Jason on my little thing here too. So you're good.
Solid season. And
Offensive Player of the Year, even though they gave him an award that says Defensive Player of the Year.
I knew it was something. I'm not always like specific, and I'll get some stuff wrong, but I'm in the ballpark. But JSN, yes, I believe could be the cover of Madden 27.
With my second pick, I'm going to take new record holder Myles Garrett, who set the record for sacks in a season.
He was my next pick.
Yep.
Okay.
I knew he was going to go fast.
Yep. Good choice. Okay.
Where did you have Matthew Stafford at on your board?
Number 4.
Oh, okay. All right. Fair enough.
So you already named my number 1. You already took my number 2. So my number 3, maybe a little far-fetched, but Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, that not even on my board.
Yeah. Solid, tough, reliable for the Lions. I know you mentioned the last couple of years they've had running backs on their cover, but he's a solid candidate.
He is. That's not a bad pick. I have running backs on here. He just wasn't one of them. And now I'm like, should I have had him on here? It's a good pick. I like it.
Okay.
With my third pick, I'm also going to take a running back. I'm going to take Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker.
Okay, there you go. Now, was he the one that just went over to Kansas City?
Yep,
okay,
he is.
Any other reason behind that, or just feel good about it?
He's just he won Super Bowl MVP. I feel like if you win Super Bowl MVP, you should be in the discussion to be on the cover of Madden.
Solid. Okay, so I am at number 4? Is this my fourth?
This is your third pick.
Okay, number 3. Another far-fetched one because that's what you expect from me. But how about we put a kicker on the cover of Madden?
That'd be awesome.
I'm going to say Cam Little from Jacksonville.
Hey,
because
would love that.
Kicking 60 to 70-yard field goals. And most people are not buying discs anyway, so why not recognize the kicker? You're going to see him on your screen whenever you download the game. And whenever you do your fantasy draft in the game, there's no other kicker that you're going to go after.
What about Brandon Aubrey?
Okay, besides Brandon Aubrey.
Okay, what? Okay, why Cam Little over Brandon Aubrey?
Because
we hate the Dallas Cowboys, and you're a Giants fan.
That, and I mean, dude's got some good distance. I mean, he had an impressive year last year, and bailed the Jags out of some sticky situations. So that's just memorable to me.
Yeah,
kind of looking back on next season, it won't happen, but I would put him on the cover.
Okay, I don't mind it. Don't mind it at all. All right, with my 4th pick, there it is.
It's coming.
I am going to take Caleb Williams of the Chicago Bears. Burst onto the scene last year. Very controversial guy. If they were to put him on the cover, maybe they have like a no nail polish policy. Maybe
I was just thinking that
you can be on the cover, but no nail polish.
this is the green nail polish edition of Madden 27.
There you go.
All right, so that was your third,
Fourth.
All right, so my number 4 is up next.
Mm-hmm.
Despite what you think about the upcoming season, there was a while that Daniel Jones looked potentially like an MVP last year. It's not going to happen, but based on his early performance last season, I would put Daniel Jones on the cover of Madden.
It's him in like a walking boot.
I told you mine are far-fetched.
It'd be so funny. I don't mind it. If he played the full season, then maybe.
If not Daniel Jones, then I would also put Jonathan Taylor in there. I'm going to pair the two together because Taylor also had a solid season before all the injuries and everything else started happening.
That's fair. Yeah, if a Colt was to be put on the cover, it'd be one of them.
Absolutely.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. All right. With my final pick of our Madden 27 cover draft, I got 3 options here. I don't really like any of them.
Okay.
I wanted to find like a historical figure last night. Like did something really cool happen 25 years ago and maybe they'd go old school? Like did Peyton Manning do anything cool? Couldn't find anything. So with my final pick, I'm going to take another quarterback. I'm going to take Drake May from New England.
I knew that was coming. Okay. Anything else along with that?
He took the Patriots to a Super Bowl in a year where they were supposed to win like 5 games.
Okay.
I think that makes you worthy of contention.
Sure, that's fair. So if we open
He's also likable.
Okay, if we were to open up Madden 27 and we're doing a fantasy draft before we play a game, then your quarterback is going to be Drake May.
My quarterback would probably be Matthew Stafford.
Okay, well, yeah. All right. Fair enough. Okay, my last pick of the Madden cover draft. I'm going to stick with the Patriots and go with none other than Mike Vrabel.
Is there like a Mike Vrabel, Diana Rossini, like Lovers Edition?
There's like, they used to have EA Sports, I think like Coach Gaming, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so who else to have on the cover than Mike Vrabel? He would be a pick on my Madden 27 game.
Okay. Fair enough.
Because you took my other picks.
Yeah, I'm sorry. He spoke to the media the other day for the first time since the draft. Just incredible stuff from him, man. He's just good old Mike Vrabel.
Could you imagine the different editions, the special edition Mike Vrabel Madden 27?
Special edition Mike Vrabel coaching game mode.
Right.
And it's like interactive and you have the option of whether or not you want to cheat on your wife.
Like GTA. Yes. By the way, GTA, was it 6? Comes out potentially November 19th. I think 19th, right? It's on a Thursday. Nobody is going to work that day. I guarantee it.
On like the 20th?
Right, yeah.
We're going to be here.
Okay. Keep telling yourself that.
Hey, that's in the middle of football season. We can't miss a show in November.
C. Fitch chiming in saying that he's picking Aaron Rodgers to be on a Madden cover. How about that pick?
That's actually not a bad pick. His final year of the season.
But I would think that they would do that next season. Like he's done. He completed his career. Let's honor him by putting him on the cover. You think?
I mean,
He can't get any more
that
injured.
would make sense. That's actually a great call, C. Fitch. Putting Aaron Rodgers, because I don't think, has he ever been the Madden cover athlete?
Not that I know of.
I don't think he has been. Yeah, that's actually a great call. Good. Man, that's what I should have thought about. That's all right. It's all good. So, last night, as everybody knows at this point, I go line dancing on Wednesdays. And so last night we all go out. And the reason why we go on Wednesdays is because at 8 Second Saloon, they do like a teach you how to dance thing. So like 9 o'clock, they stop the music, an actual instructor walks out onto the floor, and they teach you how to do a dance to like a random song. So we used to stand on the floor and do the walkthrough, but we don't do that anymore because there's just 1,000 people. There's no room to move. It's not great. So now what we do is we just take laps around the dance floor, essentially. We just kind of walk around the perimeter of 8 Second Saloon. And Chris, I've got a friend. His name's Caleb. He's awesome. But he's very interesting.
Okay, interesting how?
He gets caught up on topics and he asks everybody about them.
Sure.
So we're walking around. Me and my buddy Luke are having a normal conversation. And then Caleb walks up and he goes, Jonathan, when you're in public, do you go bare bottom on like on the toilet? I was like, Caleb, why are you asking me this right now in the middle of 8 seconds? We had a 25-minute conversation about the idea of going bare bottom on public toilets.
Okay.
So I'll ask you. I'll answer the question.
Wait. What did you say?
I said I'll answer the question. Do you go bare bottom in public?
It depends on the urgency. You know, like if it's not
great call.
If it's not something that is going to wait, then I gotta let it loose. You know what I mean? I don't care if there's no seat there. You know what I mean?
So my answer was twofold. So important thing to know here. My buddy Luke is a germaphobe. He just doesn't do it. In 1956, there was a law passed that all public toilets have to have the break in the toilet seat. You know what I'm talking about? It's not like a full oval. It like breaks.
Sure.
So the point of that is for, I guess it somehow helps people not share the same parts of the toilet seat. Okay. So you transfer significantly less bacteria because of that little gap. I don't know how that works.
I'd never heard that.
So I threw that out there, and then I followed it up with, it depends on where I'm at. For example, if I'm at 8 Second Saloon and I have to take a dump, I'm putting like 7 layers of toilet paper on that toilet seat.
Fair enough.
But if I'm at like a Buc-ee's, because the Buc-ee's restrooms are always impeccably clean.
Sure.
We'll go bare bottom there. Depends on where I'm at. So, like I said, my buddy Caleb asks everybody that question. Even women.
Okay. So he's taking a poll in 8 seconds?
Essentially. This isn't just in 8 seconds. Like, knowing Caleb, he's like walking around.
Oh, really?
Asking everybody, you know, just in his daily life.
Some odd research there.
And so, yeah. Like I said, he's an interesting guy. So he told us that like every woman he's asked, they all go bare bottom. Every single one of them. Women try to act like we're nasty. Ain't no way.
Man, I don't know if I've ever in my life thought this much about this. But
I know. We got done with our walk, and we go back to the middle, and Amelia's there, and she's like, what'd you guys talk about? I was like, we had a conversation you and I would never have.
This wasn't like a ride home conversation that you had with the wife? Like, by the way, Caleb said this. What do you think about it?
Yeah. No, there's just certain topics that like I don't want to talk about with women.
If you can't talk about everything with your wife, then she's not a real wife.
We could, okay? And we talked about it a little bit because Amelia kept asking us what we talked about, and eventually Luke was like, we talked about B squared. She was like, B squared. He's like, bare bottom.
Okay.
She was like, oh, okay. And I was like, yeah, you don't want to have this conversation with us either. So
it's pretty interesting. I never knew about the spacing in the seat.
yeah, apparently it's a big deal. It's a real help.
I don't know, man. I mean, I'm older now, so I'm just trying to stay out of the water, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So the spacing in the seat doesn't really.
One of our other buddies there who joined our conversation later told us that when he was a child, his dad took him and his brothers into a public restroom and said, "Don't you ever, in this lifetime, put your bare bottom on one of these toilet seats in public." And he walked them through how to put toilet paper on it so they wouldn't touch it.
Huh.
It's amazing.
I don't think I've ever put toilet paper down on a seat. It's the same amount of germs that you would get from pulling out a cart in a grocery store because everybody has the hand germs, right? Like it's the same thing.
Good call.
And I don't know like how people feel. I know some people are like, don't use the hand air dryer in restrooms because it just blows germs around.
Yeah.
But if you use paper towels, then you're wasting paper. So like, what are you supposed to do? Just kind of like use your pants or
My thing is like America's pretty clean. Like when you go to other countries and stuff and you walk around, it's like this place is dirty.
right.
America, we're very clean. I get that some of the people aren't, but like, look, man, I grew up in a house where there were 4 men and 2 women, and look, man, I shared a bathroom with both of my brothers. That thing was never clean, never. Even after we cleaned it, it just immediately got dirty again.
Yeah.
And so I don't know, man. A little bit of germs never really scared me, you know?
I feel like if you're going to get sick, you're going to get sick because of how you take care of yourself, not because as much as the people before you. But Otter Creek also said that we need a video of you line dancing. I'm going to have to come out one night.
You can probably find some.
Oh, yeah?
I mean, yeah, like my friends, some of the girls in our group, they take, you can catch me in the background.
I'm going to need you to find it and share it immediately.
I can probably find one right now.
Fabulous.
I'm just like in the background though. That's the thing. That's the issue. Let me see
I agree. Otter Creek though. Good call.
Let me see if I can find it. I don't even know what song we were doing. The problem is like sometimes they catch me when I'm out there, and it's me like trying to learn a song, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so I don't look as coordinated.
That's okay. It's okay if you don't look like you belong there. I bet 99% of the crowd that goes out to 8 seconds has a better chance of being a play-by-play caller for the Indy 500 than the British guy that was in there.
Oh yeah, what do you think about a 3-woman booth calling this women's College World Series game?
See, that's fine. I don't know who's talking. They all sound the same. It's fine. Just do your thing.
Okay, fair enough.
All right,
fair enough. All right, we're having an interesting time here on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. There's a lot going on. I want to go to something that happened earlier in the week. Conferences are having like their coaches meetings for football, and the Big Ten and the SEC are talking about breaking away from the NCAA potentially. This is something that has been murmured about. Okay, and we had some more quotes on it over the weekend or the past couple days. And the Big Ten and the SEC are acting like the delusional spouse in a messy divorce who genuinely thinks that they're keeping the mansion and the beach house and the dog and the nice china. Newsflash. The NCAA owns the keys to the house and the entire postseason party. I'm going to tell you why this greedy little breakaway stunt would actually cause more problems for the SEC and Big Ten compared to if they stayed. I'll tell you why in 3 minutes.
The best takes? Maybe. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
The SEC and the Big Ten on the verge of, not on the verge, but there's been some murmurs about how they could potentially break away from the NCAA and start their own football league, right? And welcome into the show. This is the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. You can watch the show on X, YouTube. You can listen on the Indy Sports Ticket app or 1430 AM. But there are so many things that sound like a good idea until you start to actually think through the idea. For example, printing more money to eliminate poverty. Sounds like a great idea, right? Because you could just, theoretically give people more money or whatever. But here's the problem with that. If you double the amount of money in circulation without doubling the amount of food and housing and cars available, you don't make anyone wealthier. You just make every individual dollar worth less. And then it triggers hyperinflation, and all of a sudden, a loaf of bread costs $50,000. Okay? The thought of splitting a restaurant bill evenly in a large party sounds like a good idea until you really think through it. I had a salad and one beer. Bob Fatso in the corner had a ribeye and an old-fashioned. He should pay more than me. That's just common sense. Okay? That really irks my nerves, too. I hate when people split bills. Anyway, I bring those things up because I think there's a lot of similarity between that and the discussion around the idea of the Big Ten and SEC coming together to break away and create their own football league. Sounds like a great idea on the surface. It's the two best conferences in terms of the best teams in college football. It's the two deepest conferences as well. Sounds like a great idea on the surface because of those things. But then you use your critical thinking skills and you realize that it's an awful idea. I think everyone agrees that the NCAA is broken. But fixing a leaky roof by blowing up the foundation is a terrible strategy. This is the biggest fake story ever. The SEC and the Big Ten aren't going anywhere. It's not sustainable for these two conferences. You're talking about 34 teams breaking away. This would only work for football. I don't know how they could do it with the other sports. Say, well, Jonathan, the plan is for them to only step away in football, but remain with the NCAA and everything else. The NCAA is not going to let them do that. If they take away football, the NCAA will box them out of everything else. This isn't going to happen anytime soon. Kirby Smart said it himself. He doesn't want for football to ruin all of the other sports, and that's what would happen if the SEC and the Big Ten broke away. Ask a gymnastics fan at LSU or a volleyball fan in Nebraska if they would like to sacrifice their national championship history in those sports just so that the football team can go 6-6 in a better league. I don't think that they would want to do that. What the Big Ten and the SEC are talking about doing is like burning down the entire family home just to collect the insurance money on the garage. Sure, the garage has a nice new Ferrari in it called college football. But now your kids have nowhere to sleep. You don't have a kitchen, and you're standing in the rain. Football is the cash cow, but it funds the entire athletic village. You can't burn down the entire NCAA structure without leaving your softball, gymnastics, track and field, basketball teams entirely homeless. This has been murmured about for a couple of years now. And again, I know the NCAA sucks. They do. It's terrible. They don't do anything right, and it's annoying. But do you know what doesn't suck? March Madness, the NCAA tournament, the College World Series, the Women's College World Series. All those are great events. All of the track and field events are a big deal in the South. Gymnastics has become a bigger and bigger deal. Volleyball in the Big Ten matters a lot. If you break away for football, then all of your other sports suffer. Think about Purdue. Could you imagine Purdue leaving the NCAA for football so they can get steamrolled by Ohio State and Oregon every year just to then not be able to play in the NCAA tournament? One of the greatest spectacles in human sports. So, hey, Purdue, come over here, be a punching bag in football. Oh, and by the way, you don't get to play in March Madness. The NCAA holds the golden ticket to March and the College World Series and every major college sporting event. If you break away in September, they will lock the doors on you in March. This breakaway sounds like a messy divorce where one spouse thinks that they're going to keep everything while the other spouse gets nothing. Doesn't work that way. Okay, the NCAA owns the postseason. They own the College World Series. They own March Madness. They own every NCAA tournament. And if the SEC and the Big Ten pack their bags, they're not just leaving a governing body. They're leaving the party entirely. And guess what? Really hard to host a 76-team March Madness when you only have 34 teams in your league. It's like throwing a wedding and only inviting your immediate family. The dance floor's dead. You're not going dancing. I'm sorry. You can't do it. So I know this is something that I've, again, seen people talk about. Good old, what's his name? Kirby Smart had some quotes on it, talked about how if we can't agree on how to govern college football at a national level, then if you excuse me, sorry, I lost my train of thought there. That happens sometimes. It's okay. But if you leave the NCAA, then everything else gets ruined. Kirby Smart had a quote where he talks about how if they can't figure out a way to govern college football nationally in a way that everybody agrees, then the SEC should just leave and do its own thing. And first and foremost, you're not going to come to an agreement on how to run college football from a national perspective, because there's not one like NCAA commissioner who's in charge of everything. And so what you have is you have four conferences with, 4 different commissioners doing everything they can to fight for the teams in their conference. That way they don't lose their jobs. It's the reality of it. Like when the Big Ten is arguing for a 24-team college football playoff, that is in the best interest of the Big Ten. It'll help them get more teams in. For the SEC, they're like, nah, we just want 16 because we have 16 teams in. If you look at the rankings at the end of last year, the SEC would have had like 8 teams in the college football playoff. They would have had half the field. They're fine with that. They love that idea, and they should, right? Like it's not Greg Sankey's job to look out for anybody else. And so every conference is just looking out for their own well-being. And as long as that continues to be the case, there will be no agreement on how college football should be ran. I know that the government's trying to step in and they're trying to help govern some of this. Like they're going to put in a Lane Kiffin rule where coaches can only leave and take jobs at certain times and all sorts of nonsense like that. I don't really know how the government can do that, but I'm not smart enough to figure that out, so I'll just leave it alone. But it's not going to get better. It's only going to get worse. It's going to continue to be driven by the teams that have the most money and by the conferences that have the most money, which is great news for Indiana fans and Purdue fans because you're in the Big Ten, and the Big Ten is one of the 2 top dogs right now when you look at the college football landscape. And sadly, college football really controls everything else because that is where the most money is made. So we'll see what they end up doing. All these things are going to continue to change, as time progresses and they try to put a hold on these things. But we'll see how much headway they can really make in terms of getting a handle on stuff going on with college football. Coming up, 2 o'clock, Jared Dubin of Last Night in Basketball is going to join the show. We're going to talk a little bit about the Knicks advancing to the finals. We'll talk Game 6 tonight as well. The Colts are back on the field for OTAs, but I think we're setting the bar a little too low for our franchise quarterback. Everyone's praising Daniel Jones for his hard work in rehab. But when you're getting paid $44 million a year, isn't that just doing your job? I'll break down why treating basic recovery like an MVP achievement shows just how far the standards have fallen here in Indy in 3 minutes.
If it's in today's sports world, it's here. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
20 minutes. Jared Dubin joins the show to talk NBA. The Colts had OTAs yesterday, and we've got some clips from media availability from some of the players and coaches. This is the Real Jonathan Smith Show. Thanks for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. Let's start the clips with the most important player on the Colts roster. Here is Daniel Jones talking about being back and how his rehab process is going.
How are you feeling? How's the recovery process?
Good, feeling good. It's been a good process so far, like 6 months into it. So feeling good. Been here working hard with our trainers and strength staff here, and going well.
What's it like to be back out on the field?
It's good. Good to be back and just be around, and be with the guys, be out on the field. Obviously not doing everything yet, but just being out here has been fun.
Your expectation to be the starter for week 1, be on the field?
Absolutely.
Daniel Jones right there talking about being back on the field and just kind of everything that's come with that. I'm glad that Daniel Jones is back. I'm glad that he's progressing well. And I'm glad that he's expected to be the Colts starter week 1. But this isn't some like grand achievement. Okay. He needs to be the Colts starter for his own sake. Everyone is giving him credit for rehabbing so well. I find it to be insane. Even Coach Steichen is singing his praises. Listen to Coach Shane Steichen here talking about Daniel Jones's rehab process.
I'm actually not surprised just because of the way he works. When you rehab like he rehabs and put into the work like he does, it's pretty impressive. I mean, people talk about injuries and, what's the fastest way to recover, and it's by doing the rehab process. And, he's relentless at that, and he's doing a hell of a job with it.
Shane Steichen right there, singing his quarterback's praises. And again, I am glad that Daniel Jones is doing his job and that he is attacking rehab the way that a starting quarterback in the NFL should. But come on. This is insane. The standards have fallen so far in Indy. We used to expect MVPs and Lombardi trophies and division titles. Now, if a quarterback looks at a dumbbell and says, you know what, I think I want to play week 1, we put him on a pedestal. It's like throwing a celebration because your 16-year-old managed to parallel park without hitting the curb on their 3rd try. Daniel Jones is a freaking NFL quarterback making $44 million this year. Rehabbing hard isn't some sort of above and beyond effort. It's just passing the basic test to keep your license. There is nothing heroic about just doing your job, especially when you're still fighting for survival in the NFL, because that's what Daniel Jones is doing. He signed a 2-year contract. He wants another one, I promise. He wants to come back, play well, and cash in on a big extension. That's not primarily built on bonuses like his contract, like the second year of his contract. Okay, Shane Steichen is talking about how phenomenal the rehab is. But just look at the contract. It's a 2-year deal. In NFL terms, that's not a marriage. It's a short-term lease. Daniel Jones is driving a rental car right now, and he's just trying to make sure he doesn't get hit with a dent fee before he has to return the keys or try to buy it outright. He's fighting for his NFL survival. Like he's running and pushing rehab so hard just to have a chance at getting another contract. Also, some of his bonuses are predicated on how many snaps he plays. If he doesn't get back in time for week 1, then he's leaving money on the table. Okay, he obviously doesn't want to do that because his future in the NFL isn't guaranteed given all the struggles he's had actually playing football and all of the injuries that he's had. Torn ACL, ruptured Achilles, chipped leg bone last year. I forget which bone he chipped. Okay? Praising him for rehabbing hard to hit his incentives is like throwing a party for a real estate agent who's actively trying to close a house so they can get paid. I'm just not in the business of patting people on the back for doing things that they should already be doing. Okay, he didn't say really much of anything else during his time with the media yesterday. A lot of the questions were about his rehab process, including, what'd you learn about yourself during this process? To which Daniel Jones replied, I don't know. Not really. That's basically what he said. He's where he's supposed to be right now in terms of the process of him coming back. And hopefully we don't hear about any setbacks, because when you look at the Colts backup quarterback situation right now, it's not great. It's a lot of questions. Not a lot of, well, I guess there are some answers. I just don't like them. And setbacks for Daniel Jones would just be rough because right now we got Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard battling it out for the backup spot on the roster. I don't like the idea of either one of them taking snaps this next season. Here is Colts head coach Shane Steichen talking about Anthony Richardson and Riley Leonard's position battle to be the backup quarterback.
Yeah, those guys will compete. Him and Riley will compete, and we'll flip the reps every other day. I mean, they get the same reps with the ones and the twos, every day through OTAs.
We say compete for the backup job.
Yeah, they'll be competing for the backup. Yep.
Does it go in even? Is it 50-50 going in, or does somebody have a lead?
Yeah, no, it's 50-50. I mean, they're competing just like everyone's competing. We got certain guys competing at certain spots, and that's one of the positions they're competing at.
What else would they be competing for? Come on. All right. I know he's saying that it's a competition. And the two quarterbacks did split reps during practice. They were apparently both outstanding. Anthony Richardson was 2 of 3 in his 8 plays. Everyone's saying that Anthony Richardson played well in 7-on-7. He apparently had a nice deep ball to Nick Westbrook-Akine. Riley Leonard was 4 of 4 passing during his teamwork. Apparently he had a couple nice throws, one to Drew Ogletree, and then one to Josh Downs as well. So, apparently both are studs. Like, no matter who plays quarterback for the Colts this year, the Colts are going to be great. I'm going to be surprised if Anthony Richardson is the backup this year. I think this is Riley Leonard's job to lose. When Shane Steichen is asked questions about Anthony Richardson, you can tell he has no interest whatsoever in answering the question. You can tell that he is beyond done with Anthony Richardson. He is ready for Anthony Richardson to be traded so he can put all of this Anthony Richardson drama behind him, because that's really all that Anthony Richardson is at this point. I don't think that's entirely his fault. I would say it's Chris Ballard's fault for drafting a guy 4th overall who clearly had no business being drafted 4th overall. Shane Steichen is the one making the call on who the backup is going to be. When you don't like a player, you're probably not going to pick them to win the position battle, especially when you like the other guy. He clearly likes Riley Leonard. Okay, and I love this next clip so much because it perfectly shows what I'm talking about. Shane Steichen gets asked a question, what do you like about Riley Leonard? And then he is immediately asked the same question, but about Anthony Richardson. Here's what Shane Steichen had to say about both of his backup quarterbacks.
He's been really good. He's got great command in the huddle. He's continuing to learn the offense, growing in that nature, going through his reads, going through his progressions, working on, his accelerated vision, going through that stuff. But it's been good to see.
Shane, same question. What do you like about AR?
Yeah, he's been good. Obviously, getting him back in the fold here, coming back, a couple weeks ago, going through it, still growing, all those different things, continuing to learn and grow just like all our other players. But it's good to see him out here with the guys for sure.
It just makes me laugh. I love that clip so much. Did you hear the difference in the two responses? When he talked about Riley Leonard, he gave specifics. His command of the huddle is good. He's working on his reads. He's working on his accelerated vision, and so on. With Anthony Richardson, there were no specifics. He's still learning and growing like all our other players. We're still working on his fundamentals. He's good. It's great to have him back out here with all the guys. That was all he said. No specifics for Anthony Richardson. Plenty of specifics for Riley Leonard. He is so clearly done with him. And again, he clearly likes Riley Leonard. Here is Colts head coach Shane Steichen talking about Riley Leonard's desire to know why Coach Steichen is calling the plays that he's calling.
Yeah, for sure. I think those take place in the meeting rooms on how we're trying to attack certain coverages from a pass game standpoint, from a run game standpoint. Things we're looking for, trying to take advantage of, and that's where the accelerated vision will come into play. The more you know the offense and why we're doing certain things, and you see certain looks, certain things on tape that the defenses are doing, obviously you can speed up your process when it comes to that.
Have you noticed one more here? Kind of digging into that more?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, he's a guy that's studying like crazy in that classroom and taking it to the field. And just the conversation that we have, some things popped up in practice today where, he made some good plays, some conversations that took place. Obviously came to life here on the practice field.
Shane Steichen right there talking about Riley Leonard, his desire to get better. I've been listening to Shane Steichen press conferences for 3 seasons now. He never answers any question. Okay, like his performance in press conferences is very similar to his performance as the Colts head coach. Very average, nothing exciting, but also nothing terrible. It's very average. He gives you an absurd amount of coach speak. He never gives details about anybody. Even going back to last year with Daniel Jones, never gave specifics on why he liked him or anything like that. He would just say, he's a pro. I like that he's a pro. And then he would just keep it moving. It's kind of funny. Coach Steichen keeps everything close to the vest when it comes to his media sessions. He doesn't tell anybody anything. It's a steel trap. Yet yesterday, his 2 best answers came when he was discussing Riley Leonard. In the clip we just played, he talked about Riley Leonard for 40 seconds. He never does that. Never talks that long. The majority of his responses are 10 to 20 seconds, does the bare minimum, and then he moves on. 40 seconds is a long time for him to talk about anything. Okay, he clearly likes Riley Leonard more than he likes Anthony Richardson. So Riley Leonard is going to be the backup this year. And that's before we really even get into the Anthony Richardson trade request, because that has to matter as well. Like I'm honestly surprised that Anthony Richardson is even being afforded the opportunity to compete for the backup quarterback job, because chances are he's not going to be here when September rolls around. He wants to be gone. Colts, or Shane Steichen at least, doesn't want him here. I know Chris Ballard is holding his breath, trying to get something for him. I don't know if that's actually going to happen or not. I'll be honest. I don't think that it is. I think that they're going to end up just having to cut him and let him go. So it's going to be Riley Leonard. It's not going to be Anthony Richardson, and I am totally okay with that. Timothy Bowman over on X chiming in, asking about where'd it go here? Oh, no, it was C. Fitch. I'm sorry. C. Fitch asking if Nick Westbrook-Akine will actually do anything for the Colts this year. He'll play. He'll play. But with that being said, like, I mean, I don't think he's like going to be their best receiver or anything. Like, when you go through his career, it's very underwhelming. Like, you know, I'm sure that everyone's going to try to talk him up. I mean, the dude had a whopping 11 receptions last year. So kind of hard to like, you know, say that he's going to be awesome. I mean, he only has 130 receptions for his career. Even when you go back to his time in Tennessee, like, didn't really do a ton. He appeared in a lot of games, but he wasn't like a major focal point of their offense. So he'll play just because the Colts need somebody out there who can play that receiver spot, but I don't think he's going to be some stud. Timothy Bowman chiming in as well, saying if the Colts hit on the under for wins and a new regime comes in, do you see the Colts taking Arch Manning next year? Only if Arch falls to the second round, because the Colts don't have a first-round pick. But if you ask Sauce Gardner, he would tell you that he is the first-round pick. Again, that move by Ballard. Like, I want to, like, rip Ballard for making that move, but he did make it before Daniel Jones got hurt, and the Colts were playing really well at that point, and they did need a corner. But hindsight being 2020, everyone's going to look back on that move and absolutely hate it. Doesn't matter how good Sauce Gardner plays, because this Colts team's going to go 6-11, 7-10, and then when that's over, everyone's going to be like, oh, we can't draft a quarterback this year because of this dumb move that Chris Ballard made. Get him out of here. That's what will happen. What's up, Chris?
I was just going to say, you didn't know that was going to happen, though.
I know. I know that he didn't
sticking
know.
up for Ballard.
I'm with you.
You, at the time of that transaction, you had no idea that what was about to happen was going to happen.
You didn't. But no one is going to remember it that way. Everyone is going to be like, Ballard, you big dumb idiot. Seriously, because that's the way that it always goes, especially after you get fired. So I find it really hard to believe that he survives after this year if they go 7-10 or 6-11.
I mean, it's a gamble, right? You can't win if you don't play. I look at it as a gamble. It was a good gamble at that time, but you can't always go buy a Powerball ticket knowing that you're going to win some type of jackpot, right? There's a chance, but you won't know unless you don't play. And I think he played, and I'm not overly upset about the move. It just didn't work out in his favor. That's all.
It didn't, and it's going to cost the Colts though. That's the tough part about it. And as Chris Ballard said, no excuses. Injuries are not an excuse. He said that multiple times this offseason. Every time he does, I'm like, okay, Ballard. All right. Last year of Chris Ballard, hopefully, because I don't see the Colts winning very many games this year, but I do see Jared Dubin coming on the show here in 5 minutes to talk a little bit of NBA. We'll talk Western Conference Finals. We'll talk about his Knicks advancing to the finals as well. But before we do that, we're sending it over to producer Chris with your sports update.
Thanks, Jonathan. Here's a few stories that are trending this hour. Fever are back in action tonight against the Golden State Valkyries. 10 o'clock tip-off for that one. Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell both ranked 3rd and 4th in WNBA scoring, respectively, so far this season. So good luck to them on their West Coast trip. Pacers held a pre-draft workout today. Larry Bird and Tyrese Halliburton in attendance for that, talking to the prospects. So good to see as well. Also, following yesterday's announcement regarding Kentucky versus IU, Lucas Oil Stadium, IU is locked in a second major non-conference matchup with Syracuse. That'll happen in November at Cambridge Fieldhouse, so get ready for that. That's what's trending this hour. More of The Real Jonathan Smith Show after the break on Indy Sports Ticket 1430.
do this. It's the real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket, 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Hour number 3 of the real Jonathan Smith Show is getting underway, joined by the one and only Jared Dubin, who does a great job covering the NBA over at lastnightinbasketball.com. If you want his thoughts on what the Cavaliers should do over the summer, you can read that over at lastnightinbasketball.com. You can also check out his NFL stuff at cbssports.com. Jared, what's going on, man? How are you?
I'm doing all right, man. How are you?
I'm doing pretty well. So let's just jump right into it, man. How did it feel when you realized that your New York Knicks were going to the finals?
I honestly still can't believe it. This is something that I thought would never happen again in my lifetime, to be honest with you. And to have it happen 27 years after the last time it did, it's still pretty surreal.
It is, man. Did you so I know when the Pacers made it last year, I immediately called my dad. Is there anyone that you called to celebrate with or anything like that?
I was with a couple friends at the time, and I've been getting, 30, 40 text messages every time they win a game from different people that I haven't talked to in years, just going nuts about everything that's happening out here.
Yeah, and it's, as someone who lives in Indiana, I can't say that, I like the Knicks. I think you understand that. But there is something that I really respect about them, and it's this consistent commitment to the team, even when they're bad. I can't stand Laker fans because when the Lakers are bad, they just go to the beach and don't pay attention. And then when they're good, they're really annoying about it. So from that perspective, I am happy for you and for Knicks fans. And I think a large part of why they've looked better this year is because of the hiring of Mike Brown. I know when they fired Coach Tibbs last year, that was a controversial decision. How impactful has Coach Brown been in New York this year?
I mean, massively impactful. You see them changing basically everything they do offensively after Game 3 of the Hawks series. That is just not something that would have happened under Tom Thibodeau. Straight up, it would not have happened. You see them trusting their bench much more in big moments. Landry Shamet closing games over Josh Hart to help the team come back from a 22-point deficit in Game 1 of the conference finals. That kind of thing just would not have happened under Tom Thibodeau. The way that he's gotten them to play defensively, look at the improvement you've seen defensively, particularly from Karl Anthony Towns, but also from Jalen Brunson. I don't know if those things would have happened under Tibbs because they would have played the same system that they played last year to sort of emphasize those guys' weaknesses. Mike Brown has been Joe Mazzulla just won Coach of the Year. Mike Brown has been the coach of the playoffs. He has been. It's been really impressive. Just the way that, like you said, he's adjusted the offense really from series to series, the Hawks series where they kind of ran everything through Karl Anthony Towns, and he was showing off his passing ability was really impressive. Against Cleveland, they went, I thought, a little more ISO with Jalen Brunson because even though Kenny Atkinson thinks that James Harden's a good defender, he's not. Does it bother you that analytically the series is tied 2-2 against Cleveland? Well, we'll just, we'll see him in Game 5, I guess.
I guess so. That whole thing was insane. I don't want to spend too much time on Cleveland, but I was kind of surprised that they committed to bringing Kenny Atkinson back. Did that surprise you at all?
I thought that they might hang that quote around his neck and use it as an excuse to fire him. So I was at least somewhat surprised, but I don't think you can argue that he hasn't done a good job there over the last 2 years. I mean, he was Coach of the Year last season, and I don't know that they exceeded or even met expectations this year, but they did go further in the playoffs than they had ever gone since the LeBron era. So there is some sense of accomplishment there. I think that their big changes are going to be on the roster level, obviously, rather than the coach and front office level.
Yeah, that's how I feel about it as well. Joined by Jared Dubin of lastnightinbasketball.com, talking about his Knicks advancing to the finals and sending the Cleveland Cavaliers home. And I'm kind of at a point with Cleveland where when I look at the East, I would really flirt with the idea of just starting over. I know that's a hard thing for teams that just made the Eastern Conference Finals to do, but there was never a moment in the playoffs where I was like, man, this Cavaliers team's pretty good. It felt like everything was such a battle for them to have success. So what do you think the roster tweaks are going to be for them in the offseason?
I think we see them move off of one of Evan Mobley and Jared Allen. Like that seems to be sort of the path of least resistance to making changes that feel significant enough that you can come into next season and be like, all right, things are going to be different now without moving off of the basis of your team, which is Donovan Mitchell. Obviously, if he declines a contract extension, then maybe things get uncomfortable there. But even then, I wouldn't think that they would want to move off of him because then what are you really doing in the East at that point?
Yeah, it's a great question. I want to go back to the Knicks. So like 3 months ago, I was seeing tweets reminding everyone of how the Knicks gave up 5 first-round picks for Mikal Bridges. And he's been...
I don't know about 3 months ago. How about like 3 weeks ago?
Fair enough. 3 weeks ago against, the Hawks series, yeah. But he's been incredible. How much of that is Mike Brown doing things to help him be more involved versus Mikal Bridges making changes on his own? Because sometimes you see guys just look to be more involved. I don't really know how to explain that in words, but I feel like it's something that you can really see. So how much of that is a Mike Brown thing, and how much of it is a Bridges thing?
I mean, it's a cop-out, but it's the truth. It's a combination of both. Democratizing the offense a little bit has allowed Mikal Bridges to involve himself more. And then defensively, even in that Hawks series, in the first few games where he, and then he comes out and doesn't make a shot and has 4 turnovers in game 3 and he gets benched down the stretch of the game. Even in that series, he was doing a really good job defensively on Nickeil Alexander-Walker. Then he does an unbelievable job on Tyrese Maxey, and then an even better job on James Harden. So defensively, the entire time he's been playing at an extraordinarily high level. And then since they sort of made their tweaks to the offense, even when they changed back to more Brunson ISO stuff in the Cleveland series, he's just been finding a way to involve himself by just continuously moving all around the court.
Yeah, the off-ball movement from him has just been it's been so noticeable. And like you need guys who are willing to do that. And to go back to Coach Tibbs, I feel like last year was a lot of Mikal Bridges just like standing in the corner. And so, again, just another tweak that Mike Brown's made that has made the team just so much better. When you look at the Western Conference Finals, is there a matchup you would prefer the Knicks to have between the Spurs and the Thunder?
I think they match up better with the Spurs than they do with the Thunder. Oklahoma City just has so many different options that you can throw at both Jalen Brunson and Karl Anthony Towns. Like with Brunson, you can throw Lou Dort, Alex Caruso, Kaysen Wallace. You can even go Jalen Williams, assuming he's healthy, if you want to go with a little bit more size on him. And then with Karl Anthony Towns, you can also go Jalen Williams, Alex Caruso, and you can also throw Chet Holmgren and Isaiah Hartenstein at him. You can even throw Lou Dort on him if you want to get into cross-match kind of stuff. There are just so many different ways that Oklahoma City can defend you, and I feel like that throws, a wrench into the gears of the Knicks offense that we've seen over the last several weeks. I don't know that, obviously San Antonio has Victor Wembanyama, which is a defensive game changer unlike any that we've ever seen. But I don't know that they have quite as many options that you can cycle through to defend the Knicks as the Thunder do.
That's a great point. I would ask, though, what about defensively? Because, dealing with SGA, as great as he is, I don't know if I can say that because I feel like he's been better than Wemby in most of these games. What about defensively? How do you think they match up better dealing with SGA or Wemby?
That's really tough. I don't know that they have, very similar to the Philadelphia series. I don't know that it seems like they have a clean matchup on paper for SGA. I think you would probably give Bridges the first shot at it. And he's also the guy that is least likely to commit fouls, which is obviously huge against Oklahoma City and against Shea in particular. We saw that in this last, he fouled James Harden one time for a shooting foul the entire series in 4 games, which is pretty unbelievable.
Yeah.
So I think he's probably the cleanest matchup for SGA, but SGA has a strength advantage over him, and that's obviously really difficult because that's how he gets off his mid-ranger. Against Wemby, it's probably got to be OG Anunoby, and if there's anybody in the league that's a better matchup for Wemby than OG Anunoby is, I don't know who it is, but that's also still obviously a really difficult cover because Wemby's almost a foot taller than him.
Yeah, it's the Wemby thing. There's no good matchup for him, except for maybe Isaiah Hartenstein, I guess. Then again, when you're allowed to beat guys up, it makes it a little bit easier. Joined by Jared Dubin of Last Night in Basketball.com. He does a great job covering the NBA there. He covers the NFL over at CBSSports.com as well. I don't want to spend too much time on this because I find the discourse tiring, but I feel like you kind of have to talk about it whenever you talk about the Western Conference Finals. I feel like both teams have been incredibly physical in this series. I don't feel like the referees have done a bad job at all. I know people were upset in Game 5, the sequence where they missed a goaltend and then they missed a call saying the ball went out on Wemby when it went out on Chet, but then Mitch Johnson didn't call a timeout before calling for the challenge. I feel like that's a Mitch Johnson mistake more than anything. What is just kind of your overall thoughts on all the flopping complaints and the officiating stuff that's come up in this series?
Yeah, another thing in the sequence with the missed goaltend is that there was also a missed offensive goaltend on Luke Cornett, which obviously would have erased the defensive goaltend on, I think it was Cason Wallace. So it wouldn't have mattered that they missed the 2 subsequent calls if they had gotten the first one correct. So nobody is talking about that part of it. But yeah, I find the officiating discourse to be more tiresome than just about anything in the NBA at this point. The ref whining that goes on from players and coaches and especially from fans is just mind-boggling to me, and I can't stand it, to be honest with you.
I can't either because because both teams, I think these are the 2 most physical teams in basketball. Like Stephon Castle is borderline committing assault on SGA every time he goes to the rim. You got Hartenstein pulling on Wemby's arms. Wemby's pulling on Hartenstein's arms. Like it's a back and forth thing. And so, yeah, I'm with you. It drives me nuts, but I have been so impressed with Isaiah Hartenstein in this series. He plays 12 minutes in Game 1, and I'm like, this makes sense. Like, you want to stretch 5 to pull Wemby away from the rim and all these things. But, like, Games 2 through 5, I know everyone loves Caruso. My favorite role player for the Thunder in this series has been Hartenstein with the way that he's rebounded, the way that he's defended Wemby, the way that he's now shooting his floater even higher somehow and finding a way to knock it in. How impressed have you been with him specifically in this series?
It's hard to be more impressed than I am with him. I thought after Game 1, I was like, all right, this is just not the series for him. And then he's come out and, shoved it down my throat for the subsequent 4 games. He's been fantastic. I've always been a huge fan of his. I was extremely upset when the Knicks were unable to retain him in free agency a couple of years ago. And I said immediately, once the Thunder signed him and traded for Alex Caruso, I was like, this is like when the Nuggets got Aaron Gordon and when the Celtics got Kristaps Porzingis and Drew Holiday. These are going to be the 2 moves that put the Thunder over the top from being an elite team to being a championship team. And that's exactly what happened. And you're seeing both of those guys prove their value in this series.
You are. He's been incredible. Cason Wallace has been awesome. Like, he's not scoring, but I think he was like plus 28 in Game 5, which I know plus minus doesn't tell the whole story, but like defensively, he's been incredible. And when Jalen Williams and AJ Mitchell both went down, I was not concerned because I'm not a Thunder fan or anything, but like you want the series to be good. And I was really impressed with SGA in Game 5. I know he wasn't efficient, but just his force I thought was consistent. His passing has been really good in the series. How have they been able to survive without 2 really important players on their roster?
Well, Game 4, they weren't able to survive without those guys. And you really felt their absence in that game. I think in Game 5, a lot of it was just the Spurs were not as clean with their help and with their rotations behind the help when SGA was getting into or near the paint. I think that played a big role in it. The Spurs just did well defensively. And also in Game 5, they ran more pick and rolls with Wemby defending the screener rather than having him in position to be the lone man to help and sort of take away the entire paint by himself. They were clearing out one side of the court or the other to run side pick and rolls so that Wemby would be the one defending the screener, and then the help would have to come from the middle of the floor, and you would leave guys open on the opposite side of the court. And they got much cleaner looks from 3 because of that.
You're really smart. This is why we have you on. I didn't pick up on that at all. I was just like, man, I don't feel like Wemby's as impactful in this game, and you broke it down there, which is great. Again, joined by Jared Dubin. You can read his stuff over at lastnightinbasketball.com. And, tonight's game, I'm fascinated by, because we're yet to have the uber efficient SGA game. I think part of that is like what San Antonio has done defensively has been really impressive. He kind of solved the early doubles earlier in the series. Then they started doubling him a little bit later. And then in game 5, you saw them adjust kind of away from that to kind of help solve that issue. And, Wemby obviously in game 5 wasn't very good. I think he's going to be awesome tonight. I think I'm just kind of waiting for the SGA super efficient game, because I would argue he's the best player in the world. What are you kind of expecting in the game tonight?
I'm expecting Wemby to come out and be a lot better than he was in game 5. Like, that was one of the strangest games that I've seen him play. I wouldn't expect that to happen again. I don't know that we're necessarily going to get the hyper efficient SGA game just because of the way he's being defended and the fact that he's really the only guy that can create off the dribble right now. It's just going to be really tough unless he comes out and hits like 60% of his contested mid-rangers, which obviously he can do, and we've seen him do before. It's just really difficult to do it, particularly against this defense. All I know is I want to see the Spurs win because I want to get one more game between these two teams.
You would also like the rest advantage for the Knicks to be a little bit bigger, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's an added bonus, but I really just want to see a game 7 between these two teams.
It'd be awesome. I can't wait for it. I do want to go back to game 5 really quickly here, and then I'll let you go. Anytime a center plays below the expectation that you have for them, like Wemby did in game 5, you get a bunch of what I like to call Shaquille O'Neal discourse, where everyone's like, you have to demand the basketball from your teammates or whatever. I didn't come down as hard on Wemby because I thought, while he didn't play his best, I thought that he wasn't as forceful on offense whenever he got the ball. But there were also possessions where you would see him work really hard to earn position as close to the basket as possible, and the Spurs wouldn't even look at him. What do you think was? I don't want to do like a blame pie here thing, but I guess, did you notice that as well? Did you also feel like the Spurs didn't look for him enough when he was working hard to get position closer to the basket?
I think there were definitely a couple opportunities to get him the ball closer to the basket, but also when he did get the ball, he wasn't getting close enough to the basket. I think he only took like 4 or 5 shots inside the paint, if I'm remembering correctly, and that's just not acceptable from a guy that big. He's got to play with more force going to the basket. He does have to demand the ball more often, but when he gets the ball, he's got to be more aggressive toward the rim because that's where he's going to be able to do the most damage. I think we saw in game 1, he wasn't aggressive enough in that fashion. And we saw in game 5, not in game 1, I can't remember if it was game 2 or game 3. Obviously game 1 was like the all-time performance that we've ever seen from him and that people will remember forever. In either game 2 or game 3, I can't remember which one we saw, that he wasn't as aggressive toward the paint as he was, in game 1 and in previous series. And then we saw that again in game 5.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing. And look, he's going to be super aggressive tonight. And I mean, but this is why the Thunder made the switch. Because in game 1, I think it's just easier to get to the rim when you're a foot taller than the guy who's guarding you with Caruso. Whereas with Hartenstein, who's bigger and thicker, I think they've done a really good job of keeping him on the perimeter just by putting a stronger player on him. Who do you think wins tonight, and who do you think wins the series?
I took Thunder in 7 before the series, so I'll say the Spurs win tonight and the Thunder win on Saturday.
Okay, I want to ask, because, Jared, whenever I say last question, that's just never the case. Some people, when they take a team in 7, it's like, I think these two teams are really evenly matched, so I guess I'll take the team with home court advantage in 7. Whereas, when I took the Thunder in 7 before the series started, I said if I couldn't take that, I would take the Thunder in 6. What was, I guess, give us a little bit more of the feeling behind your Thunder in 7 pick before the series started.
I think it's kind of the same as you. If I wasn't taking the Thunder in 7, I probably would have taken the Thunder in 6. I just think that Wemby can get you 3 games in a series, even against a team this good.
Yeah, I can't wait to watch it. Tonight's game's going to be awesome. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too high, but it's probably too late for that. What else you have? I know you put out an article about 4 hours ago on the Giants locker room situation with Jackson Dart hanging out with Trump. I know you've got an article up on the Cavaliers on your last night in basketball. What else do you have coming out here soon?
Just covering the NBA Finals and the rest of the Western Conference Finals, and then whatever news happens to come up at CBS Sports. We've got, some off-season content that we get into in, June and July before things get started with training camp, obviously, in August. So everything's going to happen very, very quickly. But right now it's, any news that comes up NFL-wise, and then NBA Finals coming up, obviously, next week.
Sounds good. Jared, thanks for your time, man.
Thanks for having me.
You got it. I'll talk to you later. That is Jared Dubin. You can read his NBA coverage at lastnightinbasketball.com. You can read his NFL coverage over at cbssports.com as well. Speaking of the NFL, imagine breaking up with your girlfriend, but you still have 6 months left on your lease. That's the exact situation the Colts quarterback room is in right now. I'll tell you why the Colts need to break ties immediately with Anthony Richardson before he ruins things in 3 minutes.
It may, one day, be a must-listen for sports enthusiasts.
Yeah, and monkeys might fly out of my butt.
Uh-oh. The Real Jonathan Smith Show on Indy Sports Ticket 1430 AM, 93.9 HD2, and always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
What tease did I do? Richardson. That's the one that I did.
Yeah.
We started talking about nonsense during the break, as we normally do. And it takes me off track sometimes. So,
hey,
Anthony,
you want to know something funny real quick before you get into that?
Yeah.
So I follow Giants news. Obviously, they had young Wei Koo last year, right? Kicked the ground.
Yeah.
Big joke. Well, today he signed with the Jets. So
there you go.
Same stadium, different team. Kicking
When are
the
you guys
same
gonna?
field.
When are y'all gonna replace the turf in there?
I don't know.
The turf there sucks.
Anyway, have fun with that.
Anyway, this is the Real Jonathan Smith Show, by the way, where we go off the rails occasionally. Thank you for tuning in. No matter how you're tuning in, YouTube, Indy Sports Ticket, if you want to head over there and subscribe. Maybe you're watching the show on X__Jonathan Smith to follow me there and watch the show there. You can also listen on that Indy Sports Ticket app. So, Anthony Richardson requested a trade. He spoke to the media yesterday about it. Here's what he had to say about his trade request.
You said, is it awkward?
Yeah, or not?
No, I don't think so. I signed a contract. I was still on this team regardless before the trade and stuff. So I got an obligation to this team to come out here and play and and perform, be ready to play if they need me. So I don't think it's weird or awkward.
Would you still like a trade?
I mean, I'm not really focused on that right now. I'm here right now. I'm just trying to make sure I'm staying healthy and keeping everything up there in the mind sharp.
What went into the decision to come rejoin the team after asking for trade, staying away for a while, and coming back?
Honestly, man, I just wanted to work. I was just tired of waiting a little bit, and I just wanted to, just get back right into the routine and stuff. So nothing really transpired with that. So my agent talked about it and was like, we're trying to get back to work. So
Anthony Richardson right there talking about his trade request and, him still being in Indianapolis despite that. And look, Anthony Richardson didn't give us a ton there, but I'm going to give him something, and that something is a very small amount of credit. There are plenty of athletes that if they were to request a trade and their wish wasn't granted, they weren't traded anywhere, there's a lot of them who would not show up to voluntary workouts. That's what OTAs are. They are voluntary workouts, and Anthony Richardson willingly showed up. His maturity has been an issue ever since he got drafted. Okay? He's 4 years older now, going into his fourth and final year of his contract. And I think this is a step in the right direction for him in terms of his maturity. It's just a little too late. Too late. Sorry. We're still going to trade you, which I know he's happy about. He said in that clip that it's not awkward being there. I find that incredibly hard to believe. We talk about how weird it has to be in college locker rooms when players enter the portal, then return to their team. This is the same thing. It's like entering the portal in the spring, looking for a better NIL deal, and then realizing that the market isn't there for you. And then you have to go back into that same locker room for your senior year. Your teammates know that you tried to leave. Your coaches know that you looked for an upgrade. You can't show up to summer workouts and be like, everything's okay. That's not how it works. Okay, you already told everyone in that room and in that program that you don't want to be there. It's also weird going back and having to see everybody after something like that. Like it just is. Think about your job. Like a regular corporate job. You put in your 2 weeks notice because you don't like the management. You don't think that they're giving you the opportunities that you deserve. You think that if you go somewhere else, you'll be able to advance in your career a little bit quicker. But then your new job offer falls through and you have to go back into the break room, sit by the water cooler, and pretend like everything is okay. I don't know if you've seen the meme with the dog sitting at a kitchen table and everything around him is on fire.
I use that all the time.
You're like, everything's fine. It's clearly not. You tried to leave. Everyone knows that you wanted to leave. You know they know. So you got to sit there, eat your lunch in total silence, and wait for the clock to run out. Yes, it's a business. And yes, every NFL player understands that. But it's still awkward at the beginning. And I honestly don't know if it ever gets better. It's going to be awkward until he's either traded or cut. It's like breaking up with someone. Your lease isn't up. It's like breaking up with someone, but your lease isn't up for another 6 months. You've had the big fight. You've both agreed that you don't want to be together anymore, but neither one of you can afford to break the contract. So now you're sharing the same apartment, awkwardly running into each other in the kitchen, pretending it's strictly business. When you both know that it's not, and it's awkward, and it's going to be awkward until those 6 months are up and you can leave. Okay? That is the Colts quarterback room right now. Shane Steichen, Jim Bob Cooter, Daniel Jones, Riley Leonard. They all know Anthony Richardson doesn't want to be there. Anthony Richardson knows that they know that he doesn't want to be there. And the situation probably isn't going to improve until he's gone. Okay? He needs to be gone. Coach Steichen clearly doesn't want him. He's going to be the third string quarterback, Anthony Richardson, so I'm sure that'll only make things better. But he needs to be gone. Okay? I get it that, Chris Ballard wants to get something in return for him. But sometimes having a guy in your locker room that doesn't want to be there can hurt your team. Now, Anthony Richardson doesn't seem to have the biggest personality, so I don't know how big of an issue that's going to be. But if they can't trade him before the regular season starts, then just go ahead and release him. Just go ahead and bite the bullet. Okay? Go ahead and take the L. You've already taken it. Like, the fact that he's still on your roster is just drawing more attention to the fact that, you made a mistake. So we'll see what ends up happening here, and we'll see. Yeah. C. Fitch chiming in asking, what if someone brought a date over and you're too broke to break the lease analogy? I think heartbreak would happen. I think people would just be devastated. Could you imagine that? You and your girlfriend fight, you break up, and then like a month later, she's bringing dudes over.
Sounds like my first marriage.
Really? Oh, I was like, what? I'm sorry.
Close, but no.
And like
borderline.
That'd just be brutal. It's like a month later, she's walking in, and she's like, "Who's?" And her date or whatever's like, "Who's that?" She's like, it's just my roommate.
It's highly uncomfortable.
No, just my roommate. Whatever. We're gonna go in my room and watch Netflix. Leave us alone.
Oh man.
No. You're like two doors down. You're like, that movie must be really good. They're giving it a nice little round of applause over there.
That's what you want to call it? Yeah.
Yeah. C. Fitch. Great question.
40 seconds is a long time.
That's right. Shout out Shane Steichen. Oh, man. But it's just, jeez, man. Anthony Richardson, get him out of here. We don't need him here anymore. Trade him, cut him. At this point, I really don't care anymore. And I'm just ready to not have to worry about or talk about him any longer. Okay? Tonight, I do want to talk about this. Tonight, we got playoff basketball. The Thunder have an axe in their hands tonight in San Antonio, and they need to swing that axe like their lives depend on it. You do not play with your food when your food is a generational anomaly that stands at 7'4". Okay, Oklahoma City needs to end the series tonight. The Knicks are already sitting out east with their feet up. Will the Thunder join them? Or are we going to get a Game 7 in Oklahoma City on Saturday night? I'll tell you in 3 minutes.
Always on the free Indy Sports Ticket app.
Tonight, we get to see the San Antonio Spurs play basketball with their backs against the wall for the first time in their lives. The majority of these guys on the Spurs roster that are playing real minutes have never been in the playoffs before. This is their first time on the brink of elimination in the playoffs, and they're playing against an Oklahoma City Thunder team that does an excellent job of putting teams away. Welcome into the Real Jonathan Smith Show here on Indy's Sports Ticket. Thank you for tuning in, whether that's X, YouTube, the Indy Sports Ticket app, or 1430 AM. So this isn't the same thing. But the Oklahoma City Thunder eliminated the Suns and the Lakers on their home floors. Do not be surprised if the Thunder go into San Antonio tonight and chop their head off in front of their own home fans. If that happens, I'll be very interested to see if Wemby actually talks to the media tonight. We'll see. You know, I know he talks about wanting to be great, but great guys tend to talk to the media when things don't go their way. Okay. The Thunder are going to need one more big performance from their bench like what they got in Game 5. Okay, it's got to be SGA getting 30 and everyone around him doing a little more than just their jobs. Alex Caruso has to keep shooting the ball well. Jalen Williams has to make shots and defend off the bench like he's done this entire series. Isaiah Hartenstein has to continue to keep Wemby out of the lane and off the glass. Cason Wallace has to continue to be the Thunder's best defender in this series against the Spurs guards. I'm very tempted to pick them tonight because SGA is yet to have a good game. He's the best basketball player in the world. He's the back-to-back MVP for a reason. The Spurs have done a great job defending him in the series. They have a lot of good options to throw at him. He doesn't really have a running mate. There's no A.J. Mitchell. There's no Jalen Williams. He's really the only guy who can consistently create offense for long stretches. Jared McCain can in short spurts, but it's mainly SGA right now. That being said, this guy's the MVP. Is he really going to have 6 games in a row where he falls short of the expectations that people have for him? I find that unlikely. He's due for an efficient game. SGA shot 55% from the floor during the regular season on the year. Right now, he's a cold gambler in the mid-range, a place where he usually excels. But players of his caliber are the house, and the house always wins. He is statistically due to regress to his mean, which means the San Antonio Spurs might be walking into a historic heater tonight. And I kind of hope they are, because watching an SGA and Wemby duel would be fascinating. We haven't really had that happen yet. Like, they're both yet to have great games on the same night. SGA's passing has been a large part of why they're winning these games, but the shot making is what made him the MVP. He's going to start hitting shots again at some point in this series. Okay, he's been bad from the mid-range. That's his area. And tonight could very well be the night where he turns it around. We'll see if it happens or not, but I do know one thing that's going to happen, and that's going to be that Victor Wembanyama shows up in a big way. Okay, I think he's going to be much better tonight in Game 6 compared to what he was in Game 5. Pitiful in Game 5. You know, he can only be better. He shot the ball poorly, 4 of 15 from the field, 0 of 5 from 3, didn't take enough shots in the lane, didn't impact as many shots on defense, and he didn't rebound very well. Only 6 rebounds on the night. I think he's going to come out like his hair is on fire. I think he's going to grab more than 6 rebounds. I think he's going to make more than 4 field goals. A 7'4" alien coming off of a pitiful game has got to be one of the scariest things in basketball. Okay, like, he's not just going to play aggressively. He's going to play angry. So I'm expecting a barrage early from Victor Wembanyama tonight. I think he's going to treat the rim like it insulted his family. I think he's going to live in the lane. The question is not if Victor Wembanyama shows up. It's whether he has to carry the luggage for the entire roster on his back. Wemby is the bottom block of the Spurs Jenga tower. Okay, when he's on the floor, they look structurally sound. But as soon as that man sits, as soon as it happens, the Thunder seem to go on a run. Okay. De'Aaron Fox, Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell. One of these guys has to hold the tower together for 6.5 minutes tonight when Victor Wembanyama is on the bench. Or the Thunder are going to completely wipe out the Spurs in those 6.5 minutes. We've seen it happen time and time again throughout the series. Okay, the Thunder are up 3-2 in this series in large part because of their bench, and their role players have been better than the Spurs. Even with Jalen Williams and A.J. Mitchell not really playing in this series, the Spurs aren't able to win the non-SGA minutes because the Thunder bench has been so good. You know, Jared McCain, Alex Caruso, Isaiah Hartenstein, Jalen Williams, and so on, they've all been better than Devin Vassell and Julian Champagnie and Luke Cornett and so on for the Spurs. You know, it feels a lot like watching the Nuggets with Jokic. Wemby has to be on the floor in order for the Spurs to survive. Feels like as soon as he heads to the bench, the Thunder go on a run. Okay, someone for the Spurs has to step up and be impactful to just keep the ship afloat in those non-Wemby minutes. And they have the talent to do it. Keldon Johnson was the 6th man of the year this year. He's got to show up in those spots. De'Aaron Fox was the best player on the 3 seed in the West a couple of years ago. He's got to be better. Stephon Castles in his 3rd year. He was the 4th overall pick. He's got to be better. Devin Vassell was a lottery pick, 11th overall, taking 1 spot ahead of Tyrese Halliburton. He's got to be better. One of those players for the Spurs have to emerge as Wemby's running mate. For the Thunder, everyone has emerged as SGA's running mate. It's why they're going to win the series. They have too many guys playing well not to. Even if Jalen Williams and A.J. Mitchell don't return, by the way, A.J. Mitchell ruled out for tonight's game. Jalen Williams is questionable again. For the Spurs to win this series, Wemby has to perform heroics. He's been able to do it twice, and both times it's been followed by a bad game. The Thunder make their adjustments, and then he struggles. But then the Spurs make their tweaks, and he plays well again. I think he plays well tonight, but I'm not convinced he can do it 2 games in a row. He hasn't proven that he can do that yet in this series. I think we're going to get a battle of epic proportions tonight. I think SGA and Wemby both are going to be awesome. Wemby with his back against the wall, I think, is going to be incredibly aggressive. SGA's due for a big night. He knows he's going to have to be great to close San Antonio out on the road, and they want to close the series out tonight. Okay, the Knicks are getting all this rest while they're slugging it out with the Spurs. And they want some of that rest, too, after what has been a long, physical series. Okay, the Thunder know exactly what is at stake. They see the Knicks knitting out east, their feet up. And if Oklahoma City lets this fall to a Game 7, they invite chaos. You don't play with your food when the food is a 7'4" basketball anomaly. If you have the axe in your hand in San Antonio tonight, swing it. Don't let Victor Wembanyama have the opportunity to play in a winner-take-all Game 7 where one heroic night ends your season. The difference tonight is going to be the Thunder bench one way or the other. If the Thunder's bench plays well, then they'll send the Spurs home. If they don't, then we'll be heading back to Oklahoma City for a Game 7, and I wouldn't mind that at all. Okay, the Thunder would, though, because I don't think anyone in Oklahoma wants to worry about dealing with a 7'4" alien with their title hopes on the line. So I am officially going to take the Oklahoma City Spurs tonight. Oklahoma City Spurs. Playing both sides here. I'm officially going to take the Oklahoma City Thunder.
Expansion team.
Yeah. I'm taking the Thunder. Chris is taking the Spurs. We have bet coffee off air.
Correct.
A little bit of Dutch Bros.
Yeah. Dutch Brothers is good. So looking ahead, you're picking OKC to win. So does that mean you're taking OKC to win the championship? Because obviously they have the Knicks next. Who's the first to host, right? Would it be OKC?
Whoever wins the West hosts Game 1.
Okay.
And so, because the Knicks won like 50 games, the Spurs and Thunder both won at least 60. First time since the 80s we've had a conference finals between two teams who have won at least 60 games in the regular season. So, yeah, whoever wins the West, they host game 1.
Can we get a way too early prediction on who you might win it all?
The Thunder.
Okay.
Their best team, man.
How many games in the finals?
That's tougher. It depends, which I know is exactly what you wanted to hear when you asked the question.
I was just curious if you even thought about it.
If Jalen Williams or AJ Mitchell are able to come back, I would take the Thunder probably in like 6 games. Actually, no, I would take them in 5 if one of those 2 guys came back. But if they don't, then I would take the Thunder in 7. Just because the Knicks are like a great story. But like I'm not a believer in I don't think Landry Shamet can play in that series. I don't think he's a good enough defender. There hasn't been a team yet that has taken advantage of Karl Anthony Towns and Jalen Brunson both having to play defense at the same time. Now, Jared Dubin, he said it earlier. The Knicks are much better defensively this year, especially Brunson and Towns. But the Thunder do such a good job of, like we've seen it in this series. They've done such a good job of just like eliminating the Spurs' best defenders. And I don't think that the Knicks they're not as good defensively as San Antonio. And we're seeing them carve them up. I think they'd have a ton of offensive success against the Knicks, and they have the best defense in basketball. So,
okay.
Who would you take?
I would give them a little bit more games, maybe 6, but I think the Knicks make it closer than you think. I think the rest helps out. On the off chance that the Spurs take home the final 2 games in the West Finals, I would probably take the Knicks over the Spurs, but obviously I don't see them getting past the Thunder. So Thunder over Knicks in the finals in 6.
Thunder over the Knicks in the finals. Thunder in 6. I like it. I don't mind it at all. What do you think of the Women's College World Series so far? We've had it on today. You've been looking. I know.
I mean, I don't know. I don't know what to make of it. I like the softball pitch. I don't know. I don't know what answer you're looking for.
Have you noticed the contrast in body types on all these teams? Every girl is either like super skinny or huge.
There hasn't been any big ladies out there that I've seen, but they're kind of
they're coming. Promise.
They kind of have some dude builds, I guess. Can you say? It looks funny. Like guys with ponytails out there, but I mean, yeah, they seem pretty tough and they're very skilled in their craft.
Yeah, man, I'm all about it, dude. Like Arkansas plays tonight at 9:30. Can't wait. Gonna be locked in for it. Yeah, we'll split the screen and we'll watch the Thunder and the Spurs, and we'll watch hopefully Arkansas beat Nebraska. So
just the way they pitch looks painful. That looks really like
going this way.
Yeah, it would look like it would hurt in the morning if you pitched all the time like that.
So what's actually really interesting about that, your arm is designed to go this way. Naturally, your arm is not designed to go over the top. So, like, you'll have, like, some of these girls, they're going to throw, like, 180 pitches today. And then guess what? They'll wake up tomorrow and they'll pitch again. Because it doesn't do anything to your shoulder. It really is crazy.
My shoulder popped 3 times just from doing this for 2 miles an hour. But anyway.
You may want to get that looked at, man. That's not good. That shouldn't be happening. It's a good time of the year, minus the NBA, for, like, I don't want to call it niche, but like under the radar sporting events. Like the Women's College World Series is happening. The Men's College World Series starts tomorrow as well. And then the World Cup starts up here in a couple of weeks too. So are you a World Cup guy?
No, not really. I'm trying to figure out the premise of the World Series too, by the way. Is this like a tournament deal? Because I thought World Series was like one team versus one team, but there's like, a number 2 team against number 7 team. Why are all these teams in the World Series?
So the way it works, you have a regional. So there's 64 teams that make a regional. There's 16 different regional sites, and you play double elimination through the regional. If you win your regional, you go to a super regional. So you play another team that won a regional best 2 out of 3. If you win 2 out of 3, then you advance to the College World Series. 8 teams make the College World Series. And it's double elimination until there's 2 teams left. Then they play best 2 out of 3.
That sounds complicated. Is it a full 9 innings for every game? Because I swear that first game
it's
went
7
super...
for softball.
Okay.
And I mean, there may have been a mercy rule in that first one. Texas Tech has put it on them.
They gave it to him for sure.
Yeah. And so, bing. There it is. Yeah, so it's not that confusing. Once you look at a bracket, you're like, okay, this makes sense.
Fair enough.
Simple enough.
I've never really focused on this before, so I'm kind of learning as we go. But anyway.
Absolutely. Well, over to you, Chris. We got to tell us what all we learned today.
All right, class. What did we learn today?
It's an interesting day of learning for sure. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Okay. I think we have more and more of these every day, but this is what we learned today on the Real Jonathan Smith Show. If you didn't get to catch the whole show, then here's a summary, basically. So when you're expecting a baby, you make huge bets and switch from beer to wine. Thank you, Seafitch. All right. We also learned that 40 seconds is a long time if you're Shane Steichen. I'd hit the ding, but it would interrupt everything. Okay. When looking at the current Colts QB room, Seth Hannigan could be the next big thing, and we're jumping on the bandwagon today.
That's right. Get on the Seth Hannigan train.
The gap space on a toilet seat is to prevent certain pieces from unnecessary contact. Okay. If you go line dancing at 8 Second Saloon on Wednesday nights, you probably have a good voice to do TV play-by-play for the Indy 500.
Probably.
If there is a Mike Vrabel coaching mode option on the upcoming Madden 27, it will be amazing. If Caleb Williams makes the cover of Madden 27, every physical copy purchase will come with a free bottle of nail polish. And last but not least, if you're sharing an apartment with an ex-girlfriend with 6 months left on your lease, you probably shouldn't brag about how much you like the new girlfriend while they're still there.
Hey-o.
That is what we learned today on the Real Jonathan Smith Show.
Awesome. Thank you, Chris. We will be back tomorrow, noon to 3, YouTube, X, the Indy Sports Ticket app. And I know I'm forgetting one, 14:30 a.m. That's the last one. We will talk to you tomorrow. Starting at noon, Nick Padone joins the show at 2 to talk Cavaliers and more. We will talk to you then. See ya.